Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program? Yeah.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Yes, it is finally Friday, happy hour Friday, football Friday. 2 days till the Eagles kick off against the Los Angeles Rams. Rematch number 2 for the Eagles this postseason. Yes, I am Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. 4 hours, plenty of Eagles and NFL talk ahead of us. Of course, Nick's Nuggets will be on later, and I'm sure he'll talk about the Sixers as well. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. I want to hear from you guys throughout the day. We got 2 topics we're going to carry throughout the afternoon here on 97.3 ESPN. First, tell me why you think the Eagles will win, or tell me why you think the Eagles will not win. That's topic number 1 here on 97.3's ESPN's Happy Hour Friday on the Sports Bash. Topic number 2, what are you drinking for the Eagles game this weekend? Now, I know Mike Gill usually does this. He usually tries to keep it to, your IPAs, your craft beers. But you guys know me. Anytime I fill in for Mike Gill, I have a more diversified palate. So hit me up with whatever you got going on for the Eagles game this Sunday. And don't forget, Mel Reese, Mike Quick, calling all the action right here on your home for Eagles football, 97.3 ESPN. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to get to with the game this Sunday. And I wanted to start, before we get to anything else, with a couple of the big picture looks at this team. Because we have talked all week about the Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts and all that goes with that, right? And I can't get out of my head the idea that this game may not come down to what we think it will. And I was listening earlier today with Evan Cohen and Hembo's conversation earlier on the national show here on 97.3 ESPN. And Evan Cohen made this comment, and I thought this is where my mind starts with the game this Sunday. So from the Eagles' perspective, and then we'll go to the Rams' perspective. So from the Eagles' perspective, ESPN radio host Evan Cohen, go.
Until the Eagles have to throw the ball more than they have to run the ball, with arguably the best running back along with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley in the entire league, and the best offensive line arguably in the league, and dominating the way they're dominating, no, A.J. Brown does not need a bigger role in this offense. As long as they're dunking every single time, they don't need to shoot threes. It drives me crazy that we continue to do this.
I couldn't have said it any better, because I think half of the conversation that has been made this week is honestly frivolous. First of all, whether A.J. Brown is reading a book on the sideline or not, who cares? Secondly, the Philadelphia Eagles have won this season because they don't pass the ball. I don't think everyone realizes this, because I think a lot of people, and I don't say this to be, condescending, okay? I'm not one of those radio host who works in Philadelphia who tries to talk down to people all the time, okay? I'm sitting here trying to help all of you see what I'm seeing. There's such a concern about the Eagles' offense. But yet for Philadelphia, they only had 5 games, the entire regular season, in which they threw for over 250 passing yards. To further tighten that up, they only had 2 with over 270 passing yards. So where is this obsession coming from that oh no, Jalen Hurts, the Eagles offense? And by the way, the Eagles won all of the games that I just mentioned to you. The Saints, the Steelers, Packers week 1 of the NFL season, the Browns, and then the Giants in the final week of the season with Tanner McKee, which, as we know now, was a showcase game to potentially trade him this offseason. This is a run-first football team. This is a team that is hyper-centered on the offensive line and the defense. And so, if that is where the focal point is, why are we obsessing over one aspect of this team when realistically this entire year, the majority of their success has been based off the defense and the ground game? Remember, the Philadelphia Eagles only had 3 games the entire year where they rushed for under 120 yards total. They were 2-1 in those games. And the one game, half the team was injured in Tampa versus the Bucs. The most important part of the Philadelphia Eagles this year has been the defense and the run game. 2 games all year, Philadelphia has allowed more than 30 points. They lost both of them. Again, the aforementioned half the team was injured in Tampa. And then you have the Washington game where C.J. Gardner-Johnson got kicked out. Washington scores 22 unanswered. They win the game. So heading into this Rams game, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? Phil Simms on the Bleav podcasting network, the Super Bowl champion quarterback Phil Simms, he said this about what he thought of Jalen Hurts' performance on Sunday and how Hurts and the Eagles defense won Philadelphia the game over the Packers.
Story of the game to me, everybody, what about Jalen Hurts, Phil? What do you think? And I go, I think he managed the game great. He knew what was going on. I'm sure the coach goes, hey, Jalen, we're whooping their ass. So let's don't get too aggressive over there. And I thought when he had a chance, he made some good throws. He was careful with the football. But the defense of the Eagles, I thought it was borderline spectacular.
Think about that. Jalen Hurts, according to a championship quarterback, played a good game. This is multiple quarterbacks now who played in the NFL who have told me, whether it's on different platforms, whether it's on this show on 97.3 ESPN, because we talked to Tony Banks on Wednesday's show, Super Bowl champion. You just heard from Phil Simms, Super Bowl champion. Dan Orlovsky played a lot of time in the NFL, former quarterback on ESPN's Get Up. I have heard multiple quarterbacks this week alone all saying that Jalen Hurts was fine. And by the way, you heard him mention don't turn the ball over. Philadelphia, when they have 2 or more turnovers this year, this team is 4-2. And what were those 2 losses again? The Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Bucs. Are you seeing a pattern here, folks? There has been such an hyper obsession about the quarterback and what Hurts is doing, and as Darius would say, da-da-da-da-da, etc. all. But if everyone who played the game at the quarterback position is saying Hurts did his job, he was fine, he's not the problem, why are we allowing people to tell us that he is a problem? Why would we listen to somebody who, and I'm just using this as an example, there are a lot of people in this world who want to tell you what they think. but yet they don't have a leg to stand on because their analysis or their perspective is fraudulent or it's based in lies or something along those lines. Now, if you want to accuse me of confirmation bias, I'm willing to have that conversation. You can text in at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. If you're the person who's going to say, come on, Josh, you're just saying that because those people are saying things that you agree with. To which I would say, fair. More than fair. I'm willing to have you guys call me out on the carpet. I'm willing to have that conversation that maybe I am not worried about the same things that you are worried about. Maybe some of you are like Hembo earlier today on 97.3 ESPN, the national show. Hembo and Evan Cohen were talking about the Eagles. This is what Paul Hembekides said.
They happen to have a player who's having a Hall of Fame season running the football and creates explosivity through the run game. There is no question that the Eagles have found their formula, coupled with a top 5 defense, which is the antithesis of what this team was to end last season. It's the perfect formula. The question that Eagles fans have, however, is not, does that work? Because the answer is obviously yes, because it's worked for 3 months. The question is, if that does not work, and there is going to be a time, very likely in this postseason, where the Eagles aren't going to be able to run the ball like it's high school football, what happens then? And if the Eagles aren't able to pass the ball better, then they're going to go home.
And I think that's the other side of the conversation, okay? It's the idea, and I think Hembo articulated it perfectly, the idea that the people who I know who are rational Eagle fans, the people who I know who are not social media trolls, the people who I know who are just passionate about this team, they look at this game and they say, you know what? I know Philadelphia should and could win the game, but there is a scenario that if it plays out a certain way, it does concern me, it does bother me, it does worry me. And I think that's totally fair. I think it's totally fair to look at the Philadelphia Eagles and say they can be better. Because guess what? Nick Sirianni said that. Kellen Moore said that. Jalen Hurts said that. The players on this team are aware that the 22-10 win was not the most aesthetically pleasing win. But I think Philadelphia also understands that they have a formula for success. And as Evan Cohen said, why shoot threes when the lane is wide open for a dunk? Let's check in with you guys on the text board at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. And, of course, we are live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig, live here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City. Don't forget, coming up on the show, you have Dave Weinberg, veteran Eagles writer at 97.3 ESPN.com, Extra Point Columns. He joins us coming up in about 15 minutes from now. JohnMcMullen, of course, Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Eagles Insider at 3 p.m. Football at 4 with Adam Caplan, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast at 4 p.m. Knicks Nuggets at 4:30. And we will get the outside view. Erin Coscarelli, she is the co-host of the Bleav in Rams podcast, also national NFL reporter. She will join us coming up at 5:25. So we got a lot of guests still to come. But first, I want to hear from you guys on the text board. Your thoughts on the Eagles game this Sunday. We'll start with Jeff in Ocean City at 609-403-0973. Jeff says, I believe the Eagles will win because they will win the turnover battle and Saquon will run wild and the home crowd will be nuts. Jeff is predicting a 24-14 Eagles victory. So a couple things there, Jeff. Number one, I think it's interesting you talked about the turnover battle because I think that's what Phil Simms and Tony Banks and Dan Orlovsky have talked about as well. You know, it seems like offensive players are more concerned about the turnover issue than some of the defensive analysts are. Not to criticize anyone particularly, but I do chuckle a little bit when you hear guys, and I'm just using them as examples. I'm not trying to be condescending to them, but, your Bart Scotts, your Jason McCourty's this week, these guys who play defense, they are less in tune with how turnovers impact an offense. And as I mentioned, for Philadelphia, two of the losses that I think sting the most for this team this year were both turnover games. They had 2 turnovers in the Bucs loss. They had 2 turnovers in the Commanders loss. And I think what's interesting is that for Philadelphia, the games when they win the turnover battle, right? The games that they have more turnovers than the other team, they won all but one of those games. And again, that's the Commanders game when C.J. Gardner-Johnson got thrown out of the game. So it might be as simple as, hey, C.J., keep your head cool, relax, play the game. Now, the Jeff in Ocean City's other point I want to touch on, he said, Saquon will run wild. I keep hearing people say that the solution for the Rams is to stop Saquon Barkley and to make Jalen Hurts beat them. But yet, no one can actually tell me how to do that. This year, the Los Angeles Rams were 22nd in the NFL against the run. They were 26th in the NFL in total yards allowed. That doesn't sound like a great run defense to me. And by the way, it's not like their passing off defense was elite either, because they were bottom 10 in the NFL as well in touchdown passes allowed. So if you are bottom 10 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed, total yards allowed, and passing touchdowns allowed, why on earth do I believe that the strategy is, well, we'll just stop Saquon? Really? How is that supposed to work? The Rams defense this season, if you go through their entire schedule, they only had 4 games where opposing teams rushed for fewer than 100 yards against them. One of them was against a pitiful New York Jets team. Another one was against a Dolphins team that's when Tua and the Dolphins offense was humming and healthy, and they didn't need to run the ball because they just passed their way to a victory. The other game was the regular season matchup with the Vikings, where that basically turned into a shootout because the Vikings are not a great run team. And then the fourth one was a 49ers team where, if you remember, the 49ers basically had about 5 running backs injured this year. So circumstances tell us, and the numbers tell us, and the history tells us, Jeff in Ocean City, that you are right. This is a game where Saquon can and should run wild. And if he does run wild, yes, the home crowd for the Philadelphia Eagles will go nuts. I should have had that drop lined up for me faster than I was.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
A little bit of a delay there, but there we go. More texts at 609-403-0973 coming in. Let's see here. Texter didn't leave their name. All right. Well, Texter, send your name in because I'm going to read your text anyway, because I like to give you guys some credit when you bring up these texts on the text board. You say, Josh, maybe there is no problem. The national news media has this aversion to admitting the Eagles are any good. They have had that aversion, and it's fine for us. Winning a playoff game by double digits, 22-10, against a 10-win team with a storied history is not a problem. Final score would have been 29-10 if Saquon had not been a good sport and took a knee. Go Birds! Well, first of all, go Birds, back to you. Number 2, you're right. There are now, it's not all of the national media, okay, but there are people, individuals in, the worlds of ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, trying to think who else, NBC Sports. I mean, I know they got the streaming platform, but there are people out there in the podcast verse, right? There are people out there who do have we are waiting for this team to fail mentality, and because they haven't failed, we're trying to nitpick. So I totally get that. And you are right. Winning by double digits against a good football team is not something to be overlooked. And I would say to your point about the final score should have been 29-10 if Saquon wasn't a good sport, I would say the same thing is true about the Rams-Eagles first game. Because in the Eagles and Rams first game, that was a 37-20 score. But that final touchdown was a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game. So realistically, that game should have been actually finishing 37-14. And it was Philadelphia's, if not their most dominant, one of the most dominant wins for them on the season. I think, at least in my opinion, it probably is one of the most dominant. I think it's that. It's the 2 Cowboy victories. And I would also throw in there the Bengals win on the road. I think those were Philadelphia. Do we throw the Steelers game in there? Because they had to their foot off the gas in that game. But still, the Rams game was one of the most dominant wins. Nick from Galloway chimes in at 609-403-0973. Nick says, hypotheticals like what if the run game fails are BS. Hurts isn't some unproven rookie. He's played in the Super Bowl and would have been the MVP if they had won. He was a MVP runner-up in his second season. There's no cause for concern. This is manufactured what-if nonsense. Nick from Galloway. Again, it goes back to the idea that there are some people. Now, there's 2 sides to this, Nick and Galloway. Now, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. As I said before with the previous texter, I think there are some people out there who have been waiting for this team to fail, so they almost try to find harm or issue or problems with this team no matter what. But on the other side, Hembo is an Eagles fan, Paul Hembekides, and I think that there are a lot of Eagle fans who worry. They stress. They have anxiety, agita, if you ever saw the movie Oscar, agita about their team. And so if you are an Eagles fan, maybe there's a part of you that does stress and does worry and say, oh no, well, if this happens, if that happens. So Nick from Galloway, I'm not going to completely dismiss the what ifs, but I am going to say that you are right. There is an element to it of, like when you say, what if the run game fails? To which I would say no one has stopped the run game yet, and the Rams have been able to stop the run game the entire season. Let's get one more text in here before we hit the break. Josh of the Parkway chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, Packers win might have been ugly, but as Dominic Toretto once said, ask any racer. Hold on. I got that audio cut somewhere. Josh of the Parkway trying to steal. I'm almost wondering if Josh from Galloway and I might be related somehow, because I literally used this line about the Eagles on Monday here on 97.3 ESPN about the win over the Packers.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
You're right, Josh. Josh goes on to say, run the ball, don't change a thing. You just have to get the job done. And Josh the Parkway, you're 100% right. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 2 o'clock hour, being brought to you by Autumn Lake Healthcare Center's skilled nursing rehabilitation with elite level care in a warm and vibrant atmosphere. Visit autumnlakehealthcare.com to find a location near you. More Eagles talk coming up next with 97.3 ESPN.com. Extra Points columnist Dave Weinberg here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere. From dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke, an asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Hey, AI, how many touchdowns did the Eagles score in the 2023 season?
The Eagles scored 49 touchdowns in the 2023 season.
Hey, AI, I had a fall recently. I need to recover. Please help me walk again.
I'm sorry, but that is beyond my capabilities.
Hey, AI, my parents are getting older and I can't care for them by myself. Can you help me care for them?
I'm sorry, that is beyond my capabilities. AI will never replace care, but here's what I found for the best care near you.
Autumn Lake Healthcare Centers, trusted leaders in skilled nursing rehabilitation and senior care, and proud partners of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hello, Jersey. This is Shaquille O'Neal. You all know Jersey is my home state, and I've got something special for you. Introducing my first ever scratch-off game, Jersey Giant Winnings from the New Jersey Lottery, with a top prize of $200,000. And guess what? I'm officially renaming the state Shaq Jersey. You're Shaq Jerseyans now. Play the Jersey Giant Winnings scratch-off.
Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Eagles are headed to the playoffs. Congratulations to the entire Eagles organization. It's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. We're proud to be the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Come join us for all the Eagles playoff action and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, all of your Chicky and Pete's favorites, and of course, world famous crab fries. Perfect for Eagles playoffs. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales. Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now, there's available 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9! And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here filling in for Mike Gill on a happy hour Friday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by Sea Isle City. We'll get back to text board in just a bit, 609-403-0973. But as promised, joining us right now, he catches 2-minute drills after every Eagles game at 97.3 ESPN.com, as well as his extra point columns throughout the week. He is veteran Eagles writer and, of course, our sports columnist at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave Weinberg joins me here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome into a Friday instead of a Wednesday when I usually talk. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So here's where I want to start with you because, the topic coming in here was about, the idea of, where do we draw the line between having legitimate concerns and what some of the texters are calling BS concerns with the Eagles?
I don't know. What are the BS concerns?
Well, it's the idea that, you have a lot of people after the game on Sunday, right? And instead of saying, hey, the Eagles won, the defense was great, blah, 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 they're focusing on, well, how did Jalen Hurts have 6 straight completions and 7 straight incompletions, and then turning that into a narrative of, well, the Eagles can't make it back to the Super Bowl because of Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, that's a little far-fetched. I mean, he's certainly capable of getting them there. He did it 2 years ago, so there's no reason to say he can't do it again. Although I do agree to a point where he has to play better than he played last week. The inconsistency, it was okay. The defense carried them against the Packers, and that was good enough. But I don't know that it'll be good enough for the Rams or especially the Lions. If the Lions happen to beat the Commanders, I don't know if that they can get by with the same kind of game plan, if you will.
Right, it can't literally be the same game plan. I think anyone with half a brain knows that. I think the rub is it's the question I've been asking all week, Dave, is the chicken or the egg, right? How much of the blame goes on the quarterback and how much of the blame goes on the offensive coordinator and his, as you and I have talked about throughout the year, his bizarre play calling at times.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get why Saquon wasn't even more involved than he was. I mean, you would think you get a heavy dose of him on Sunday, right? I mean, he ran for 255 against the Rams the last time they played, so a franchise record. So it'd be ridiculous not to feed him the ball again until they can prove they can stop it. I think Jalen bears some of the blame, only that seems to be holding the ball a little too long. That seems to be locked on one receiver too often. I mean, when A.J. Brown only gets one catch for 10 yards, there's something off, I think. Not that you have to, throw him the ball 30 times or anything, but he's too good of a player not to be a major part of your offense, I think.
Well, it's also weird because of the fact that, you have a guy in A.J. Brown, his targets, if you go through each game, it's like a roller coaster. It's like the roller coaster you take your grandkids on. It's like some games he's getting 15, the next game he gets 3, and then he gets 8, and then he gets 4, and then he gets 12, and it's like how I'm not saying that we don't need him to get 15 a game, but there's got to be a happy medium between the 3 he had on Sunday and then a couple of weeks ago when he had 15. There's got to be an in-between there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, they definitely have to get your key players the ball, right? You need Saquon to get the ball. You need A.J. Brown to get the ball, Devontae Smith to a little bit lesser degree, and maybe Dallas Goedert also. But, yeah, you need to spread the ball around, especially in the passing game. Obviously, you need to spread the ball around. And A.J. is, like I said, he should be the focal point, I think, of the passing game.
Talking with Dave Weinberg, Extra Point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com, at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform. Dave, in your years covering the Eagles, I'm sure that you had to deal with a lot of those coaches getting interviews, right? Andy had half of his coaching staff pretty much coached at one point.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got to tell you, I was ticked yesterday when the news came out about Kellen Moore, because it's like, The Cowboys, I mean, they let McCarthy hang in the wind. They blocked him from interviewing. They didn't re-sign him anyway. And then his contract expires on Monday. He talked to Deion Sanders. On Thursday, they submit a request to talk to Kellen Moore. Like, it just screams, hey, let's interfere with Philadelphia. Like, it's, to me, if I was Jeffrey Lurie, I'd call the NFL and be like, you guys need to tell Jerry to chill.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit unusual. I just wait till I don't understand the purpose of the interviews now of guys who are still coaching with their teams. Anyway, I think you should wait till the end of the season and then start your interview process with those guys. I mean, if you're that interested in Kellen Moore and, that intent on bringing him, then you can wait a couple more weeks, or, if that turns out to be the case. I don't think there's any need to interfere with the team's preparation for a playoff game in order to just, talk to a guy. That makes no sense to me.
I mean, I understand with Nick Sirianni, he told the media today that apparently, Fridays are a day that a lot of coaches have a little extra downtime, and they usually spend it with their families. But it's like, okay, Kellen Moore jumps on a Zoom with the Cowboys for 90 minutes. I mean, what is going to come of that conversation? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, they know who Kellen Moore is already. They don't need a 90-minute Zoom, like you said. He was there long enough that they know what kind of person he is. They know what kind of coach he is. So there's no need to upset the Eagles' plans, however minute it might have been, to just to do that. That made no sense.
Yeah, it just screamed, I'm Jerry Jones. I like to do what I want to do. Because I remember, well, at least I'll never forget. Maybe some of the Eagle fans won't. And I know you and I talked about this in the past about, you remember Jerry before the Eagles were in their last Super Bowl, he was ripping the Eagles about how they build their team. And he's like, I would never do it like that. And it's like, well, obviously, Jerry, that's why you've never been to an NFC championship game since 96.
Yeah, he definitely has his own way of doing things, and that way hasn't worked out too well. I mean, he doesn't take direction very well. Doesn't seem to be willing to spread the wealth around. I mean, to dictate responsibilities to other people, and that's going to bite him. I mean, until he learns how to do that, until he learns to spread out the responsibilities and maybe take a step back, then the Cowboys are still going to be a dumpster fire.
I mean, can you remember in your years covering the Eagles? And I know it's a long data bank to draw on, Dave, but I know it's not easy to remember everything that even happened yesterday, at least for me.
Me too. Yeah.
But it's like I can't think of. I mean, the last bizarre situation of an Eagles coach in an interview situation, at least in my mind, was the Frank Reich thing. Remember, because Josh McDaniel was going to be the head coach of the Colts, and then he pulled out last second. And then the Colts called Frank Reich that's the last time I can remember a weird, coordinator, coaching hire situation with the Eagles.
Oh, it turned out that, Jonathan Gannon might have bent the rules or might have overstepped his bounds a little bit with the Cardinals,
well,
right?
Remember the Cardinals, they had to give the Eagles a draft pick for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it happens more often than you think, but yeah, and like I said, it makes no sense to me. Why do you have to, upset a team's preparations just to do that? You have plenty of other guys if you want to talk to other candidates, go ahead and do that. And then when that particular team is finished in the playoffs, then go ahead and talk to their coordinators or assistant coaches or whatever you want to do.
Dave, I made the comment earlier in the week, and I wanted to bring it up to you again. Right here is that, when the Eagles won 22-10 on Sunday, my mind went to a game from 7 years ago when Philadelphia won 15-10 over the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember coming out of that game, and you probably remember it too, Nick Foles stinks. Why is he the quarterback? This offense isn't going to win a championship. You can't win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. I remember those conversations, right? And I feel like it's a similar vibe where it's like instead of us celebrating the job of the defense, everyone is worried about the offense. Did you get a similar vibe?
I did. I mean, if Julio Jones doesn't drop that ball, right, they don't even get to the next round. And as it turned out, they fared pretty well in that. But yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation. The offense didn't play very well Sunday. Same thing in 2017 season. And yeah, I can definitely see the correlation. It'll be interesting to see if they can break through against the Rams like they did against the Vikings. I have my doubts, but it's certainly possible, I guess.
Darren Sproles, you remember covering him. He was
absolutely, yep.
He was on the Up and Adams show, and he told Kay Adams that he thinks the 2024 Eagles are more talented than the 2017 Eagles. Agree or disagree?
I don't know if you follow Jimmy Kempski. He writes for Philly Voice. He actually did a comparison today, I think, comparing the 2017, 2022, 2024 teams and position by position. I would say that this team might have more talent, but there was something special about that 2017 team, just the culture in the locker room, the way the bond amongst the players, the way everybody bought into what Doug was preaching. And then, when Carson gets hurt, then everybody rallies around Nick Foles. And they had guys who just seemed like in this right spot at the right time, like Garrett Blount and those kind of guys. They knew their roles, and they embraced them, and they did what they could to make the most of it. And there was just a chemistry of that 2017 team that I don't know that it's there. Maybe it will be. If they go on to win a Super Bowl, then I guess we can make the truer comparison. But right now, I would favor the 2017 team.
I mean, if nothing else, the guys are rallying around each other. They're taking almost they're turning into like Michael Jordan. They're taking anything that's out there and turning it into like a spite. Lane Johnson taking the All-Pro team as like a revenge tour. A.J. Brown saying, nobody understands me. I'm out here to play football. It's like these guys are turning into like these spiteful like 90s athletes.
Yeah, you can't. They want to do anything they can to be perceived as underdogs. They're not. They're just not. And the more you can keep telling me us against the world, nobody thinks we can do it. You're favored by 6 points. Don't give me that baloney. I mean. If you want to, you need something to hype yourself up. I guess that makes sense, but don't try to portray it like it's us against the world, because that's just not true.
When you look at this game on Sunday, Dave, because you mentioned how they're favored by 6 at most of the sports books, for you, what is going to be in your mind if Philadelphia does win and they cover that spread? What would be the biggest reason why?
Well, they forced a couple turnovers against Matthew Stafford, which is easier said than done. And the offense finally gets its act together and put some points on the board. I don't know that you can rely. I think the Rams offense is too talented to expect your defense to hold them completely in check. So you need your offense to finally get in gear and start looking like they did earlier in the year. If they can do that, then I see them winning by a touchdown or more.
I mean, the defense did allow a couple touchdowns to the Rams in the first matchup. It wasn't like they shut them out. So,
right.
We know that the defense, even then, and that was a Sunday Night Football game. That was a primetime game in L.A. I know the last touchdown is like fraudulent, basically. I mean, that was a garbage time touchdown. But they still allowed 2 touchdowns before that. So,
I do remember the Rams almost had another one, right? Didn't they go down the field the first drive and fumbled? I think.
Right, Kyron Williams, he had the fumble. That was one of his 6 fumbles on the year.
Right.
And then they had that other drive where they had that stupid penalty where like the offensive lineman tackled. I think it was Josh Sweat. I think it was either Sweat or Nolan Smith where like it was like one of those penalties where like you're looking around like what was even the point of that? But
right.
So they did implode on themselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They got off to a good start. I do remember that. I mean, as mistakes aside. So the Eagles need to prevent that from happening, I guess, for lack of a better word. They have to. I think the Eagles need to get off to a good start. I mean, they did it last week, but that hasn't been the case for most of the year. But if they can get off, if they start struggling like they've done most of the year in the beginning, I think that it gives the Rams more confidence, and I think you might be in for a dogfight.
as Eagle fans everywhere love to say, Dave, run the ball is probably going to be the answer. I mean, listen, if you keep away from the Rams offense, they don't have as many chances to score, right?
Right, that's true. Yeah, very true. And given the expected weather conditions, that might make the most sense anyway. Yep.
By the way, Rams this year, bottom 10 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game, and total yards allowed per game. So Rams not exactly a stout run defense.
Playing pretty well lately, though, right? Haven't they held teams in single digits like 6 games or something?
But here's the problem with that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I tried to point this out earlier in the week, and people kind of gave me the proverbial middle finger about this. You know, it's like
I got a story about that, but go ahead.
If you dominate a bad Jets team, a not great Cardinals team, and you dominate the Spencer Rattler Saints. Like, I'm just not impressed, Dave.
Mm-hmm. I understand. You can only play who you're playing, though, right? I mean, you can't fault them for that. But yeah, I understand your point. They haven't exactly faced any juggernauts yet. And
when they played the Bills, they allowed 40 points and they beat them 42-40.
Right. I got your point. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and the Eagles, put the hammer on them too. So yeah, it's I can understand. I can understand your thinking there. Speaking of the proverbial middle finger, I probably told you the story before. Back in 2017, when they beat the Falcons and they were getting ready to play the Vikings, I picked the Vikings to win, and I made not the mistake, but I made the observation that I thought the Vikings deserved it more than the Eagles, only because I tried to explain it to people. They don't want to hear it. Last time the Eagles won a Super Bowl before that was 2004.
Right.
The last time the Vikings were in the Super Bowl was like 1977 or something like that. And they've been waiting for so long, and I think it's their turn. I got skewered by fans. I mean, I got called names that I had never heard before. And I tried to make a joke out of it by going on a podcast and reading some of the letters that I got and the texts. And it was brutal, especially after the Eagles, tore up the Vikings.
Well, for what it's worth, teams who play in domes as their home stadium are 1-6 in Philadelphia in the postseason. So, and that includes that Vikings team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't place a whole lot of stock in that, but if people want to ride on it, they can.
Yeah, it's a fun little stat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's like
that 40 degrees for Tampa for a long time until.
Yeah. Well, it's like the joke that Nick Sirianni tried to tell but kind of failed at one of his press conferences when they told him that the Eagles were 0-4 all time in Cincinnati, and he was like, I don't even know if I was alive for some of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the way the Sirianni delivered it was so awkward that it just landed on deaf ears. Like, all right, I know what you're trying to say, Nick, but
Right. Yep.
He's Dave Weinberg. Check out the Extra Point columns at 973ESPN.com. And, of course, his 2-minute drill will be up after the Eagles game this Sunday. Dave, appreciate you jumping on today, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you soon.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check back in on the text board coming on next, 609-403-0973. AJ from Cape May Courthouse gives you your text and more coming up next.
This is the home of Philadelphia Eagles playoff football. It's the NFC Divisional round of the playoffs as the Eagles host the LA Rams this Sunday at the Link.
Nice catch by Goddard, who breaks the tackle across the 5. Touchdown! Goddard, beast, pushes him in the face twice and into the end zone.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 2 p.m. Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action starting at 3 p.m. This is South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN.
Stop the countdown. Don't let the new year pass you by. Get to Matt Platt Mitsubishi to save the day. If you're a first-time buyer or you're under the conclusion you can't get approved for a car loan, Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. So if you have a job clearing $450 per week, we will work hard to get you approved. New Mirage, just $16,999. That's a new Mitsubishi Mirage E under $17,000. Plus 0 down, 0 payments until March, and 0% for 48 months. New Outlander Sport SUV, $24,999. No payments for 90 days and 0 down. Bring in any trade, and AJ the Trade Man will get you top dollar during the year-end sales event at Matt Platt Mitsubishi.
Simply, Matt Platt Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi.
Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. 1666 per 1,000 finance on in-stock 2024 Outlander Sports. Not all will qualify. Go to matt.mitsubishi.com for complete details or call 844-946-2315. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Matt Blatt Mitsubishi in the heart of Glassboro for 30 years.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SKINNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 200-300. That's SKINNY to 200-300. SKINNY to 200-300.
Winter savings are heating up at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new vehicles in stock and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Our expert team is ready to help you find your perfect Honda with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com or stop by today. Hurry, these deals won't last. Boardwalk Honda, your trusted destination for exceptional Honda savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
At Verizon, anyone can trade in their old phone for a new one on us with Unlimited Ultimate, which means everyone in your family could get a new phone and stay on your family plan, keeping you close.
Hey, Mom, you seen my toothbrush?
Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
Oh, maybe too close. Trade-in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Cooper's our new neighbor down the shore.
Introducing Cooper University Hospital, Cape Regional.
Healthcare is going to improve in Cape May County.
We're excited to bring our award-winning care to our new neighbors in Cape May and Atlantic counties. You'll have greater access to top specialists, advanced technology, innovative treatments, and outstanding cancer care at MD Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper. Cooper University Healthcare. Together, we're doing something extraordinary for families down the shore.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN. As promised, let's check out the text board real quick before we get out of here at 609-403-0973. AJ K-May Courthouse chimes in before we get to John McMullen joining us coming up in 6 minutes from now. AJ says, I believe the Eagles will play a clean, classic, mistake-free game against the Rams, running the ball, and the Commanders will beat the Lions. Then we will throw the ball the following week with Jalen clearly outplaying Jaden to a double-digit win and return to the Super Bowl against the Ravens. Holy Toledo, a lot there from AJ in K-May Courthouse. So, first of all, he has the Eagles winning this Sunday, the Commanders winning on Saturday, and then the Eagles playing the Ravens in the Super Bowl. A lot of moving parts there, AJ. Here's the deal. AJ K-May Courthouse. If all of that happens, I need you to text back in. Please. 2 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Autumn Lake Healthcare Center's skilled nursing rehabilitation with elite care and a warm and vibrant atmosphere. Visit autumnlakehealthcare.com to find a location near you. More Eagles talk coming up next with John McMullen about the Philadelphia Eagles, the healthier team, this Sunday.
Hi, this is Billy Schwein from the Locker Room. Join us at the Chicken or the Egg in Marlton, New Jersey for our Eagles pregame show. Nick Earnshaw, Josh Hennig, and I will get you ready for the Eagles-Rams game. We will talk with former Eagles defensive back Sheldon Brown. Plus, we'll get the keys to the game with Fox 29 News sports anchor Scott Grayson, sponsored by Blitz's Market. Then my fantasy football guru Brian Hartley, sponsored by Charlie's Bar. And we'll be giving away some Eagles swag to lucky fans. It's the Locker Room with Billy Schwein, live from the Chicken or the Egg in Marlton, New Jersey, 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Score a touchdown when you bank with Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Catch lower rates on loans and higher rates on savings. You'll cheer when you don't have to pay a penny to get your own money since they offer 85,000 surcharge-free ATMs. Get the details or open an account online with just a $25 minimum deposit at JerseyShoreFCU.org or swing to a branch in Northfield, Galloway, Hamilton, or Rio Grande. Federally insured by NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Mike Gill.
Zones is harder than teaching man-to-man. And now the Eagles, man, Vic Fangio, he's got the magic wand. It's better than I've ever seen it.
That was Phil Simms on the Bleav podcasting network talking about the Eagles defense. Is the Eagles defense, what we're seeing right now, been the best we have seen the entire year? Well, they're going to be without Nakobe Dean on Sunday. So how is that going to impact this game? All that and more. JohnMcMullen is back. Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Of course, Eagles Insider joins us every week throughout the year here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. John, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Doing well. We're almost here. Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Round football. Yeah.
So, John, is that assessment fair that basically what we are seeing right now from the Vic Fangio defense is the best that we have seen all year?
Well, you mentioned Nakobe Dean's injury. I'm very concerned about that. So I don't know if Phil meant how they're playing right now versus how they're playing earlier in the season, but it's been the number one defense for the vast majority of the season. So it's been pretty consistent, but they've been pretty healthy for the most part. To lose a player who's essentially the leader of the defense, the quarterback of the defense, I think it's a bigger deal than maybe a lot of people realize because of the season. Zach Ballin has kind of overshadowed how well Nakobe's played. So I am a little bit concerned about that with Weinberg and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. trying to replace that presence that Nakobe had. But overall, the group has been pretty spectacular this season.
You mentioned replace him. Talk for a minute about what your expectation is, because I know Fangio said earlier this week that he expects Burks and Trotter Jr. to get reps on Sunday. So is it a situation where you anticipate seeing more of one versus the other, John? And the second part of that question would be, how do the Eagles not deploy those guys in a way that becomes like a pitcher with a tell on a fastball versus the changeup?
Well, I don't think they're going to use him in that way. As far as certain situations, I want this guy. Certain situations, I want this guy. It's going to be more of if you look back to the Dallas game that Nakobe missed because of an abdomen injury. Weinberg started, and then Jeremiah Trotter rotated in. If you think about that game, Vic specifically said it's about a 6-7 play drive to start for Dallas, and then CJ got the pick six, so they got the football right back offensively, went on another 9-play drive, and the defense was on the field a lot, and then he went to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to give Weinberg a bit of a breather. He's not used to playing that much at that point. So I think it's more of that, and then as the game goes on, it'll be who's playing better. And if Oren's playing better than Trotter, it's probably going to be Oren. If Trotter's playing better than Oren, it's probably going to be Trotter. So I don't think it's, we're going to play this guy against the pass, this guy versus the run. It's more of trying to feel who's got the hot hand.
For the Rams, how do you think they would take advantage of no Nakobe Dean on Sunday?
Well, I mean, running the football, obviously. They don't, Kyron Williams is a very good player, but he's not really a dynamic back. Like, if you want to look forward, we can. The Eagles try not to. But if you think about Jahmyr Gibbs in a possible NFC championship game, there's there's a guy who could really take advantage of you in the passing game with option routes, angle routes, wheel routes. He's a tremendous receiver out of the backfield. And to be honest, he's a mismatch for any linebacker anyway. But when you have Jakobi, he's got a better feel, higher football IQ, maybe to persevere a little bit better in that type of situation. But I don't think the Rams have that type of player, so I don't think you have to worry about it as much this week.
Talking with John McMullen, of course, at JF McMullen on the Twitter X platform, covers the Eagles for JAKIB Media, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. John, sticking with the defense, obviously these two teams, this is the second straight week of a rematch. We have seen these teams before. So what do you anticipate being different, if anything, about the Rams' offense coming into this game? Because the Rams did score some touchdowns. It wasn't like a shutout, but even though it was a dominant performance overall, the Rams did get some touchdowns on the Eagles' defense back in that November game.
Yeah, and they were playing well early. I think that's sort of Sean McVay's, resume is that they're very good with the scripted stuff. And if you think about the opening drive, they were going right down the field, and Williams fumbled, and the Eagles kind of saved themselves. But they were having a little bit of difficulty, and then as the game gets on, it gets a little more repetitive, and you can kind of calm down and feel what's going on. The history of Vic Fangio is he generally has gotten Sean McVay's number. Probably going to happen again. That's the way it's been. This is one of the more talented defenses Vic has had, so he's had a good history. I expect that to continue. But the Rams aren't going to change. A lot of motion, a lot of eye candy, a lot of eyewash, and you got to be disciplined. You can't fall for it. And the Eagles did a very good job of that in the first game, and there's no reason to think it's going to change at home versus on the road.
John, you mentioned about the history of Fangio and Sean McVay. Is there something from your observations over the years of why that matchup seems to always go in Fangio's favor? Because I know McVay has said in previous interviews that Fangio is the toughest matchup for him of any defensive play caller. So do you think there's a specific reason for why that is?
Yeah, I think, Vic, I think the secret sauce to Vic, I think people get caught up in the scheme. I think it's the teaching and what I just talked about. So he's going to stress that discipline. He's in everybody's ear talking about that motion and making sure, look, they're trying to fool you. That's the whole point of it. So, don't worry about it. Just do your job and focus. And he seems to have the ability to teach. I think when you play that Phil Simms clip, I've been talking about this all year, so I'm glad Phil said it. I think a lot of Eagles fans got enamored with Quinyon Mitchell early in the season and all the lockdown corner stuff. And the Eagles play a lot of zone. They don't play a lot of press coverage. So, but and a lot of Eagles fans took that as an insult. I said, it's much more difficult to teach a young player zone coverage than man-to-man coverage. So it's actually a compliment to Quinyon Mitchell to be able to play the way he's played in the Eagles' complicated defense. So, and I think a lot of people miss that, and I'm glad Phil pointed that out.
Well, Phil Simms, football guy, right, John?
Yeah, well, a lot of people take that as an insult. I'm saying, think about it, Josh. If you're a young player and you just point to the receiver on the other side and say you got that guy, that's easy for a young player. If you're playing quarters or cover 6 or cover 9, as Vic calls cover 3 or whatever, there's 75 different zone coverages. Some of them man principles in the actual zone. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of ways to screw up that communication, especially with younger players. It's like calculus instead of arithmetic. And the way Cooper and Quinyon have been able to do it is one of the stories of the season.
John, one more on the defense I wanted to touch on with you because you mentioned about all the different things that the Rams like to do. We know that Philadelphia did get some pressure on Matthew Stafford the first time they played, and we also know that the Rams' offensive line is healthier in this time round than the last time. So do you anticipate Philadelphia being able to get to Stafford and get him off his spot, or do you think that they're going to have some trouble with the pass rush?
No, I mean, the Eagles' pass rush has been very good all season, very effective all season. If you look at PFF or things like that, very near the top of the league, but it's a little bit unconventional. I think when people think about great pass rushes, they think about big sack numbers and great edge rushers, where really for the Eagles it starts in the interior with Jalen Carter. And to Milton Williams, who's also had a great season. So, the Rams have gotten healthier and they have a pretty good offensive line. But, I think the defensive line, the defensive front for the Eagles remains the strength of their defense. And Jalen Carter's their best player on defense. And he's tough to deal with. And I don't think that changes for the Rams.
John, let's flip it over to the offensive side of the ball because I've kind of not, I don't want to say I'm literally laughing, but I chuckle a little bit when these analysts keep saying, well, if the Rams can just stop Saquon Barkley and force Jalen Hurts to throw more. And I look through the Rams schedule and I'm like, well, who was the great running back they stopped this year? I mean, they're bottom 10 in the NFL, John, in rushing yards allowed, rushing yards per game, total yards allowed per game. Like, I get it. They had a flashy pass rush against the Vikings who barely ran the ball, but it's like, I don't understand why people think that, all of a sudden the Rams are going to come into this game and just suddenly slow down or stop Saquon.
Well, I think the mentality is anybody can stop anybody in the run game if they really want to do it, but how much do you want to account to doing it? How much do you want to put 7 people in the box, 8 people in the box constantly, and then you leave yourself open? And I think there's a lot of people that say, well, the Eagles aren't having a good passing year, but I think they could take advantage if you're paying that much attention to stop the run game. So it's always a pick your poison against the Eagles. And I guess a lot of people have shifted now towards, well, force Jalen Hurts to beat you. So I guess that's the mentality. And I expect them to come in with that thought process because on paper, if they're not playing a lot of guys in the box, they're just going to get pushed around. I mean, that's what happened in the first game. As great as and athletic and young and, speedy that their defensive front is, they're all undersized. And they're all going to get beat up by Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Mekhi Becton, et cetera. They can't match up physically.
John, you mentioned Lane Johnson, and I was listening to the Green Lake Pod. Chris Long and Bo Allen were at the game last week, and they mentioned about how, they've never seen Lane this, annoyed and angry and focused before a game. Is there really something to this Lane Johnson not getting first-team All-Pro that's got him really that ticked off?
Yeah, he's very competitive. And he doesn't like it. I had a vote for the All-Pro this year, and I picked Lane's second team. So I got to raise my hand and say, but he takes it very seriously. And I told him, I said, that's not an insult to me, the second team All-Pro. And Penei Sewell was first team All-Pro, and I think deservedly so. But yeah, Lane takes that very, very, and anything you can use as fuel and competitive advantage, that's what great players do. And he's a Hall of Fame player. And yeah, he's not happy with it.
So then how much of this stuff with the Eagles, the Lane with the All-Pro, A.J. Brown telling everybody, why do you care that I'm reading a book? Like, how much of this stuff is the Eagles just finding random things to be like it's us against the world?
Hey, they in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl, I always joke that the whole underdog mask thing was ludicrous. Everybody knew how good the Philadelphia Eagles were. They were technically underdogs in the playoffs, but that's only because Carson Wentz got hurt. If Carson Wentz was healthy, he was having an MVP-level season, they would have been significant favorites in every game. So the assumption that everyone disrespected the Philadelphia Eagles is quite honestly a lie. But they used it, and it worked. And like I said, every one of us who voted for Lane Johnson, second-team All-Pro, think he's a really, really good player. You don't vote for guys as second-team All-Pro that you think aren't really good players. But if he uses it and it works for him, that's what a lot of great players do. Use anything you can.
I do think it's interesting, really quick, John. I do think it's interesting because I talked with Rob Motti yesterday. I talk with Rob every week, and one of the things that he commented on about the Lane Johnson second-team All-Pro is he says he thinks that people looked at it as, hey, the Eagles threw the fewest passes in the entire NFL this year, and the Lions were among the most passes in the NFL, and that had to do with some people's analysis of why Sewell over Lane.
Yeah, I don't know what, the individual of each person's decision. Ironically, Lane's better in pass protection than run blocking. Sewell is probably better as a run blocker than a pass protector. So if that's the reason, they're probably going down the wrong route. But I think anybody, and I get Philadelphia's very provincial, but anybody that doesn't know how good Penei Sewell is, you'll probably know in about a week and a half, and you'll see, is all I'll say.
So are you suggesting that to rephrase the attitude error that the Washington Commanders have no chance in hell in Detroit tomorrow?
Yeah, well, they have a very small chance, just like the Rams. I think we're on a collision course. But again, nobody who voted for Penei Sewell was disrespectful to Lane Johnson, and nobody who voted for Penei Sewell was wrong. That's all I'll say about that.
John, a couple more before I let you go. Heading into this game, obviously there has been some criticism about, the Eagles' offense this past week. I know Kellen Moore talked about, he acknowledged, so did Gillen and to you guys this week that, they do have things to fix. And it's a lot of, rhetoric, right? It's a lot of like, we got to be better, we got to do better. But is there something particular for you that when you look at this game on Sunday that you're saying, I would like to see them get better at or fix this?
No, I don't think you can fix anything at this time of the year. You are what you are, and the Eagles have decided to become very risk-averse on offense, and they have decided that if they don't turn the football over, they're probably going to win, and that's been the case. And they haven't turned the football over. I don't think that changes at all versus the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe it does change the next week in a potential NFC championship game. And we'll see how it works out the next week if they have to turn on the switch that they haven't been using. And we'll see if it works. But for this game, I think they stay with the status quo, which is don't turn it over. And if you don't, they're going to win the game.
John, before I let you go, which of these random stats do you think has more relevance? Is it Sean McVay's losing record against the Philadelphia Eagles, or the fact that dome teams are 1-6 in Philadelphia in the postseason?
I think dome teams going outside in cold weather is always an issue. Sean, very good coach. I think a little bit overrated because his reputation, but he generally loses to the Eagles because the Eagles have better players. And that's the case this time. So he'll probably lose again. I think it has more to do with that than showing it today.
To repurpose my Mike Gillism here on Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, does John McMullen have a prediction for the final score?
I think the Eagles are going to win pretty easily. They're not playing a style of football that's going to, put up 40 points. So it's probably going to be more of the 27-16 type of game is what I'm thinking.
He's John McMullen. Follow him on Twitter X at JFMcMullen. Check out Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. And, of course, all of his coverage of the Eagles is Sports Illustrated. John, I appreciate you jumping on. Always enjoy the conversation. And stay warm and dry on Sunday, all right?
Well, I'll be inside, so it's not a problem for me. But, for the fans, stay warm and dry.
John, take care, all right?
All right, thanks, bud.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Our conversation with John McMullen was brought to you by Boardwalk Honda. Stop in and take advantage of game-changing savings all month long at Boardwalk Honda in Egg Harbor Township. Coming up on the other side, we'll get back to your guys' thoughts and comments. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we also live on my YouTube channel. We have John McMullen fans chiming in on the video stream. So I appreciate everybody wherever you're consuming, however you're consuming the Happy Hour Friday edition of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. I appreciate you all being here. Still to come, we're going to go through all 4 games on the NFL playoff slate, I should say. Of course, all those games this weekend on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And then on Sunday, coverage begins at 2 o'clock. NFL Divisional weekend. We have you covered. We are your home for the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, and the entire NFL playoffs all the way to the Super Bowl in New Orleans here, 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIODYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $25,000 per bet. Prop boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SKINNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 200-300. That's SKINNY to 200-300. SKINNY to 200-300.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Winter savings are heating up at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new vehicles in stock and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Our expert team is ready to help you find your perfect Honda with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com or stop by today. Hurry, these deals won't last. Boardwalk Honda, your trusted destination for exceptional Honda savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
.329 here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. 3 o'clock hour of the Bash being brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadlee's is your trusted source for heating and plumbing services as well as installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadlees.net. We'll get back to the text board in just a bit. A little bit later this hour, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Happy Hour Friday. So we've been asking you throughout the day. One, how do you think the Eagles win on Sunday? I think most people believe Philadelphia will win on Sunday, but the question is, how do you see it playing out? And number two, what are you consuming this weekend? What are you enjoying for Happy Hour Friday or when you're watching the Eagles game on Sunday? Let me know on the text board, on the DMs, wherever you're listening. Thank you for listening to the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, so we're going to do a bit of an overview of the games and some thoughts and some picks for the games on Sunday. And of course, that is being brought to you by my friends at the Caesars Sportsbook. Yes, the Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIO DYW. That's RADIO DYW is the promo code. And place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older, max bet of $25 for boosted winnings, max additional winnings, $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire in 14 days after receipt. For terms, visit Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All lines we will use for this segment are from the Caesars Sportsbook app. So, let's go game by game. Of course, you can hear all the games right here on 97.3 ESPN, your home for Eagles football and the entire NFL playoffs up to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Tomorrow, starting at 4:30, is kickoff. Of course, you can hear on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle. Texans and Chiefs. The line has pretty consistently been around 8.5. And I know that Andy Reid has a long history of playing very well out of bye weeks. I know Patrick Mahomes is undefeated during the divisional round of the playoffs, but are we really sure that we can make that apples to apples comparison of this Chiefs team versus others? Listen, I told you guys, I think the Chiefs can win this game. I told you that earlier this week here on 97.3 ESPN. And I'm still convinced they win the game. But I just feel like 8.5 is such a big, big number. I think Kansas City is going to start out slowly in this game. I tend to feel like this is one of those games where I can see a situation where Kansas City is not winning big at halftime. So I like the 8.5. I also like the 6.5 for the first half cover for the Houston Texans. I also tend to think that this game's probably not going to be the highest scoring game in the world. So I tend to believe that this is going to be probably a 7-point or less win in the end by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I tend to think this is going to be an underplay for this game. I think this is going to probably be one of those games that kind of wakes the Chiefs up. Maybe kind of like, they got to work out off the rust, get all of the, basically get their engines warmed up again for the postseason run. And they're going to need it because whether they face the Ravens or the Bills in the next round, the Chiefs are going to need to be full steam ahead, full power for that matchup. Second game on Saturday. Of course, you can hear this one as well on 97.3 ESPN, 97.3 ESPN. Mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Commanders and Lions. This is the largest point spread of the NFL divisional round. At Caesars Sportsbook app, it is 9.5 points. But do I really believe that the Lions are 9.5 points better than the Lions? I don't think so. The Lions don't have a very good defense. And I know they're getting Terrion Arnold back, and I know that that'll help them some. They got Alex Anzalone back for the final game of the season. But even when they've had their guys throughout the year, it's not like the Lions have been some dominant defense this year. They've had some really good moments throughout the year. This is a defense that has still 12 guys on injured reserve. And this is still a defense that has allowed 29 points or more 5 times this year. The Buffalo Bills, the 49ers, the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, and the first matchup they had with the Vikings. They can be had. They are not an invincible defense. In fact, what is the strength of the Washington Commanders? Well, it's Jaden Daniels, right? Their passing attack is the strength of that offense. The Detroit Lions were one of the worst pass defenses in all the NFL this year. 30th in passing yards against. 10th worst in passing yards per attempt allowed. I think Jaden Daniels and Washington, they have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And I think Dan Quinn, who has gone forward on 4th down more than any coach in the NFL this year, this is going to be a lack of punts in this game. I expect him and Dan Campbell to be a match of aggressive coaches. And I think the Commanders cover this 9.5. I just don't see a scenario where the Lions blow them out unless some catastrophic injury happens, which, of course, none of us hope would happen. I think Detroit is going to win the game, but I think it's going to be a closer game than 9.5 points. Sunday here on 97.3 ESPN, Eagles at 2 p.m. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 3 p.m. for kickoff. No matter what happens with the weather, and I feel like I've seen about 20 different versions of the weather at this point. It's honestly confusing. I mean, the weather people didn't even get last night's snow correct. How am I supposed to trust them with Sunday's forecast, right? But whenever you think the forecast is, I don't anticipate this being a high-scoring game for 2 reasons. One, this is an outdoor game. You go through the Rams' schedule this year, and the Rams, most of their low-scoring games have been outdoors. That is correct. Here's the breakdown. At the San Francisco 49ers, they scored 12 points. At the Chicago Bears, they scored 18. At the New York Jets, they scored 19. It sounds to me like when this team is outdoors, more often than not, they are not scoring a ton of points. And remember, it was thanks to a late touchdown that they got 20 against the Philadelphia Eagles. So in this game, I don't anticipate a very high-scoring game. I like the under 43.5 that is over at the Caesars Sportsbook. And I do think Philadelphia is going to win. But I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Philadelphia is going to run the ball. It's going to be a smash-mouth game. And I think the fans are going to have to just accept that this is not going to be the most aesthetically pleasing game. Also, anyone who's listened to me long enough here on 97.3 ESPN knows that I like to bring up math problems to you guys. Well, the total in this game is 43.5 at Caesars Sportsbook. If you add up the team totals for the Rams and the Eagles are currently at most sportsbooks 24.5. Rams at most sportsbooks are at 18.5. That adds up to 43, which means the sportsbooks are projecting this to be an underplay just through their math. And by the way, if you were wondering, the Eagles are favored to score more points than the Rams by how many points? 6. What's the line? 6. So the math problem isn't with the spread, it's with the over-under. So I think this could be a low-scoring game. And let's be realistic. The last time A.J. Brown didn't get a lot of touches, the next game, he got a lot of targets. I anticipate A.J. Brown to go over his receiving total. As of right now, at the Caesars Sportsbook, that number is currently set at 69.5 for A.J. Brown receiving yards. I expect that to go over. When the Eagles game is done, you can keep it tuned to 97.3 ESPN, because following the game will be the Sunday night showdown between the Bills and the Ravens. This is one of those games that I'm not fully sure if either defense has a chance. I think this is going to end up being ultimately a shootout between the Ravens and the Bills. I'm not a big fan of the line in this game because of the fact that the sports books have set these numbers to a point where it's very unlikely you are going to get value out of this. So I tend to think this is probably a game, if you open up the Caesars Sportsbook, you probably want to go with the prop bets. And I think probably the smartest of all the prop bets out there is probably going to be the fact of one man. Mark Andrews anytime touchdown. To me, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how many Ravens games you guys have watched. That dude had a lot of touchdowns this year, especially in the red zone. I feel like Mark Andrews, that's a
stone cold lock of the century. Or the week.
I mean, who doesn't think Mark Andrews isn't going to score a touchdown in this game? Also, rushing yards. I think Lamar is going to hit his over 55.5, because I think they're going to realize in this game that they're going to keep up with the Bills and not let the Bills outscore them. Just handing it off to Derrick Henry is not going to be the answer. Lamar is going to have to do some scrambling of his own. I think Josh Allen will as well. Lamar Jackson, by the way, his over-under on the rush total is 55.5. Josh Allen's is 45.5. In terms of who wins the game, as I told Rob Motti last night on 97.3 ESPN, I'm leaning to Buffalo just because they're the home team. I feel like in a lot of these situations, when a game is too close to call, you tend to go with the home team. I think there's a little bit of, if anyone ever heard You Don't Mess Around with Jim by Jim Croce? There's a line in that song called You Don't Step on Superman's Cape. And there's a part of me that feels like there's a lot of people stepping on Superman's cape right now. I think there's a lot of people who are, for lack of a better term, spitting on Josh Allen's reputation and his season. I have heard a lot of reports by people who cover the Bills. Those Bills players really wanted Josh Allen to win the league MVP, and they are hyper invested in him having a deep playoff run. And I think those guys are going to play for him, and he is going to play for them. So I tend to believe that this is going to be one of those games where I think Josh Allen is probably going to edge out Lamar Jackson. The other problem is that for the Ravens, they have not been great in rock fights this year. They have not been great in tight games. Remember, they lost the first week of the season against the Chiefs. And that was a close game, right? Remember, when they lost to the Steelers earlier this year, that was a close game, 18-16. They lost to the Chiefs, 27-20. They lost to the Raiders, 26-23. The Browns, they lost to the Browns this year, to the Ravens. People forget about that, 29-24. And by the way, those Philadelphia Eagles, 24-19. The Bills have been a much better team in close games. And I think that this is a game where, remember, when the Ravens and Bills played the first time, the Ravens beat them 35-10, but that was in Baltimore. And the Bills had almost 10 players. Well, it was 10 players on the injury report, but it was 5 starters of those 10 on the injury report. The Bills were not healthy in that game. They are healthy this time. They're at home. So I think it's going to be Buffalo. So that means, according to my way of thinking, I think the NFC Championship game will be Eagles and Lions, and the AFC Championship will be Bills and Chiefs. And thanks to Caesar Sportsbook app for sponsoring our conversation about the NFL playoffs all weekend long here on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up on the other side, back to the text board, Shaner in EHT, as well as Nick from Delaware. Your texts and more next on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on a Happy Hour Friday edition.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hot tomorrow afternoon on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedork bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
They score! Konechny on the one-timer, and TK makes no mistake, the power play goal.
It's Flyers Devils tomorrow afternoon. Coverage begins at 12:30. It's Flyers hockey all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey, 97.3 ESPN.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you gotta hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Okay, I have to tell you. I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying... just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Hey, it's Mike Gill from the Sports Bash. The action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks, check out trending parlays, and increase your winning with profit boosts. New customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code RADIO100. That's RADIO100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a Colonial with high ceilings, hardwood floors, and a peaceful neighborhood. And you found it. Now, every Saturday at 6 a.m., you get to wake to the sound of your neighbor's leaf blower. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SKINNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 200-300. That's SKINNY to 200-300. SKINNY to 200-300.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now there's available 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9. And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Don't forget the 3 o'clock hour, the Sports Bash being brought to you by Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleaf's is your trusted source for heating and plumbing service installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleafs.net. By the way, is there anything more Philadelphia than the fact that A.J. Brown met the author of the book today? Yes, the man, Jim Murphy, who wrote the book Inner Excellence, which is what A.J. Brown's book that he's been reading this year is. Apparently, he was at the NovaCare Center today, and the two men met for the first time today. I mean, is there anything more Philadelphia Eagles than that? All right, get the text here before we wrap up the 3 o'clock hour. Shaner in EHT chimes in. He says, all 4 games I think are easy to predict other than Ravens-Bills. Eagles fan or not, has a fun matchup. Both quarterbacks have a lot to win and lose. Excited for the 34-24 Eagles win, and whoever wins the Bills-Ravens game will be good to go. The other will have a bus running them over. Oh, my goodness. 34-24. So, Shaner and EHT, you have a high-scoring game. Much higher scoring than I do, at least. I guess in your mind, Shaner, you're thinking of it as Philadelphia is going to basically run the ball and that the Rams aren't going to be able to stop them, and then probably the Rams will have to be in catch-up mode, and that's why they're going to score points. I'm not to put words in your mouth. I'm assuming that's what you say. You know, the interesting thing about the Ravens and Bills, like you said, is both quarterbacks have something to lose and everything to gain. Lamar Jackson, he needs to get to a Super Bowl at this point. His resume is starting to look a lot like Peyton Manning, where he has all this regular season success, but not postseason success. Remember, that was the accusation of Peyton Manning for the first several years of his career. And then for Josh Allen, you know, the Bills exceeded a lot of people's expectations, mine included this year. And if the Bills can get to the championship game, it really does say a lot about Josh Allen's development, the coaching job done by Joe Brady in the last several months. So it's definitely something to watch on Sunday night. I agree with you, Shannon EHC. I am definitely watching that game as well. Nick from Delaware says, I'm drinking some of Jason Kelsey's new garage beer. Go Birds. I gotta say, the garage beer is like on my list of things I need to try, but I have not tried it yet. I've heard a lot of people compliment it, Nick in Delaware, but I myself have not had any. One of these days I'll have to check it out. So, Nick in Delaware, enjoy. I raise one to you, but for me, it's my bottle of water right now because I'm on the radio. Football at 4. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast joins us next on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the home of Philadelphia Eagles playoff football. It's the NFC Divisional round of the playoffs as the Eagles host the LA Rams this Sunday at the Link.
Nice catch by Goddard, who breaks the tackle across the 5. Touchdown! Goddard, beast,
pushes him in the face twice and into the end zone.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 2 p.m. Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action starting at 3 p.m. This is South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN.
Go get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery, go to Fanatic Sportsbook, and go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway, because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Yeah. Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Oh, up top, Bike Shop.
Yeah. It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messethorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Flex Premium Athleisure is softness that plays hard. From the couch to the gym to the office and beyond, Flex gives you premium comfort and style that keeps up with anything without costing everything. Now take an extra 15% off Flex at Kohl's. Whether you're chasing the ball or chasing the kids, life's a workout. Flex with it exclusively at Kohl's. 15% off valid through January 20th. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, Hims can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Caplan, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
I give my heart and soul to this franchise, as so many of us do.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on The Sports Bash. Your Football at 4 on a Friday edition, and a tradition unlike any other is when Adam Caplan comes on and the Eagles injury report drops simultaneously. And as we'll get into Adam now, the injury report, no surprises. That's the good news. So what can we expect for the game on Sunday? Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Of course, the Inside the Birds podcast. Like, download, subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts. And also don't forget about Inside the Birds on YouTube, and of course the Patreon with all the great insights. Adam, how you doing on this Friday?
Josh, I'm well. Hope you're well. Yeah. So I don't know how many years I've been on with you and Mike Gill, but during the regular season, I'm always the one who has Fridays hit. And if the Eagles are playing on Friday, I would say from 3:55 to 4:03 Eastern, of course, the injury report from the Eagles comes out. They never change, Josh. They never do for whatever reason. They were done practice at like 2:30, but they have to make us wait. It's a running joke. But anyway, so yeah, every player on the 53-man roster is available. Byron Young, who's the player that claimed off waivers, a third-round defensive tackle. He will not play, though he's practicing. He's still on the injured reserve list with designation to return, so he's not going to be able to play. They're not going to clear him for this game, but everyone's going to be available. Even Dallas Goedert got some work in. As Jeff Mosher and I talked about today, and we try to bring people inside what happens with illnesses. Any player's got an illness cannot be in the building. They send them home. You don't want to get any other players. You don't want to get any player sick or the coach is sick. And then once they think they're ready to come back, they come back. They get checked out by the docs, and they either get cleared for practice, or if they don't, they're in the meetings and so forth. So the good thing is Goddard got some work in today, number 88, so he's been cleared to play, and that's it. And the Rams, talking to them, they're not done. They're done practice about an hour and a half. So of course they're in West Coast time. They're going. By the way, they're going to fly in on Saturday. That's their plan. But the big story, Josh, into this game, and it hasn't been a big story for a long time, is the forecast has changed, Josh. When Jeff and I dropped our show this morning, when we recorded it, the forecast changed like literally within an hour after he dropped it. So now, unless it changes again, more or less, it looks like right now, and I'm crazy for the weather for people who follow us. So right now, it looks like from 3 to 6 Eastern, there could be up to unless it changes, 3 inches of snow, and it will not stop based on the latest hour-by-hour forecast. So, again, no injuries in the injury report, but we do have the concern about the weather for this game. Yeah. How does meteorologist Adam Caplan anticipate the weather impacting said game? Yeah, right. So, because of, I feel confident now finally that this actually might happen, I actually called a coach who was on the Lions sideline for the 2013 game, the snow game, which Jeff and I were at, where the snow was not on the radar until, I'm going to say, an hour and 15 before the game, maybe less than that. We don't know exactly the hour or the minute that it snowed, but the Lions were not prepared for the snow because it was not in the forecast. There was nothing on the forecast about it. It was just called weather. So I called this coach today, and I said, hey, what do you remember about that game? He goes, well, first of all, we went in for our pregame warm-up at, he said maybe after it was done, maybe after the pregame warm-up, maybe it was 11:30, the inactives came out. They went in to the locker room, maybe it was 11:45 a.m. for a 1 o'clock game, and then when they came out at 12:30, it was snowing, Josh, like crazy, and they just were shocked. teams like never get this wrong, by the way, Josh. It's because it was not on the radar. It just came out of the blue. So what happened was the linemen, Josh, they did not have long sleeves. And look, cold weather, guys, what happens is, this coach said, they didn't have the long sleeves, but they had the Vaseline because it was cold. And what happens with Vaseline is, if a defensive lineman tries to hold you, their hands move. They can't get a grab. They can't grab you. But they were not dressed warm enough. Now, they did have 2 pairs of cleats, and I don't know why the coach said that. I should follow up. But he said they had cleats, but they didn't. They had to go back into the locker room and change the cleats, but they weren't quite good enough because they didn't realize how heavy the snow would be. Not that they knew it was going to snow, but the cleats that they had the studs were not good enough. So they had problems. But the big problem that they had was on defense. The defensive lineman could not get footing, and against Shady McCoy, as this coach said, the lineman never had a chance, and Shady obviously was great in that game. We were there, so I remember it like just being blown away by it. And I'm someone who loves a lot of snow. I hate when we get like a quarter of an inch, Josh, as you and I have got to know each other. I think you probably know that I don't want this eighth of an inch stuff. Like, don't snow then. If you're going to snow like a half a foot, Because, look, my wife and I purchased a snowblower many years ago. I don't think we've used it for 3 years. In fact, we got to crank it up to make sure it works. We'll have to do that over the weekend. But right now, again, unless it changes, look, it would be interesting if it didn't snow because that's not really what's supposed to happen. But the latest forecast, and I always look at hour by hour, it's going to snow. Now, about far as passing the ball, this coach said that, listen, you absolutely could pass it. If it's not windy, he goes, you're going to have certain run plays in where you think you'll have an advantage against the defense because they might not be able to get the footing. But he goes, it's not hard to throw. In fact, he prefers throwing way more in the snow than he does in the rain because of the slippery ball. It's really hard to throw in rain.
By the way, I can confirm my snowblower works. I had to use it a couple weeks ago, so I can confirm.
Look, now you've told me, like in South Jersey, I'm near King of Prussia. If you want to know, just to give you an idea, for those of you who know the area, and you're in South Jersey, so I don't know what it. Sometimes, like, we don't get the snow you guys get,
right?
But we'll see what happens. And look, remember, it's a 3:00 game, folks. Right now, by the way, it's supposed to start snowing at 1. Not that it matters at all before the game. It only matters what happens in the game. But it is, for someone who's been to the link probably 500 times in my career, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but probably a couple hundred times, I know what it's like to drive in bad weather coming in there, man. People drive slow, so make sure you leave early.
Adam Caplan, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, at Caplan NFL on the Twitter X platform. So you mentioned Shady McCoy, so that kind of leans into game plan. Do we expect the current running back, Saquon Barkley, to be a heavy part of the Eagles' game plan on Sunday like he was in the first matchup?
Josh, their game plan has been, save for 3 or 4 games, super run heavy. It's kind of, look, I think someone put on our YouTube board, and I thought it was great. I didn't even think of that. But, for many decades, other than some years when the Steelers were throwing a lot with Ben Roethlisberger, the game plan under Bill Cowher, for the most part, was run the ball with Joe Bettis, win with defense, limit the drop back for the quarterback. That's what they're doing with Jalen Hurts. And, by the way, they're winning with it. We could argue, why wouldn't they throw the ball more because of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but they're taking the approach, Josh, that this is the best way to win. So the over-under total for Saquon Barkley is around 130 yards. I actually like the over, which is a lot, but it's going to start with Saquon Barkley, and I feel strongly he's going to hit that. So we'll see what happens. By the way, the line is still 6. Now the over-under has dropped a little bit, but, I expect heavy run. Now, with the Rams, Josh, Kyron Williams is a nice back, but he's not explosive. He's more of a stop-and-start vision runner. Their offense does start with a run, though. Everybody talks about Matthew Stafford. Ironically, who was the quarterback for the Lions in 2013 with the snow game? Matthew Stafford. It's funny how things happen, and here's another snow game for Matthew Stafford.
By the way, Kyron Williams had one of his fumbles this year versus the Eagles when they played the first time.
And that changed the course of the game, Josh. They were about to score, and he fumbled, and you saw him sulk on the sidelines.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. It's snow, man. Your hands could get wet. You better have the right gloves for that game. And the good thing is, Josh, because this is not going to be a surprise to anyone, both teams will be able to prepare for it and they'll adjust accordingly. They'll have the right gear on, too. That this coach told me today, like, you better have the right gear for snow. It's different than rain. Again, the ball's extremely slippery. It's very hard to throw. I mentioned today's show, the only quarterback I've ever seen throw well in the rain is Rich Gannon. It was with the Raiders, and I've never seen. Now, what they did is they didn't throw it deep, no more than 15 yards. Dink, dunk, dink, dunk, dink, dunk, and he just matriculated the ball downfield, and he was great. But it's really not hard to. And by the way, the wind will be moderate. It won't be too bad. So we'll see. We'll see. And obviously, we know about A.J. Brown, who will definitely play with that left knee issue. Josh, we have no idea how well he can run at this point. He didn't look great last week in the game.
No, he didn't. He looked like he was laboring at times going up and down the field. Adam, you mentioned Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, the Rams offense. Well, what about the game plan for the Eagles defense? No Nakobe Dean. He is out. So we heard Fangio mention Oren Burks and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. earlier this week. So what are the expectations for the Eagles defensive game plan?
Yeah, so there are two ways to do it. Trotter's definitely going to play. I mean, Vic put that out there. When Vic says something, it's going to happen. Now, Greg Cosell dropped something really interesting, which we were not aware of. Greg said that in his pre-draft study of Dean and Trotter is way better in coverage. In fact, he said that Trotter is really good at coverage in college. Now, we know that Zach Ball will be a nickel linebacker. Who will be the other one? And if they want to play if they play dime with a dime linebacker, it most likely be Bond. So who will be the other linebacker? That's something that Vic's going to have to decide. Now, if you play a base defense, or if you just want to have two linebackers in, who's the other linebacker for more often than not? Probably going to be Burks because of the experience and his size. But I'll tell you what, I don't think he moved all that well last week. Trot Jr., as people with Patreon know, we've been talking about Trotter for a couple months now, how great he's looked behind the scenes. He's probably a little bit farther ahead than the Eagles anticipated. He wasn't supposed to play this season, and, certain things have happened. I'm interested to see how they do this. Look, typically you don't rotate. What you do is you might do it by series. You don't do it usually in series. Or situationally, you might say, okay, this guy's our base linebacker, this guy's their nickel, like Pittsburgh does. But we don't know. I mean, you could point to the Dallas game, which is sort of because they were able to kind of try out both players because the game meant nothing to them. But you can't say that's definitely going to happen. I mean, you have that example. That's not a lot that's going to happen.
Right.
Because what happens is you go through the tape of that game, and you go through practice, too. Practice means everything, by the way. You try it out, and you see what they look like in practice. And then what you do is you take the practice tape, and you see how they handle the game plan. And if they don't look right, you change it up again. So what's going to come here for the Rams is very simple. It starts with Kyron Williams. He's not Barkley as an explosive player, but he's shifty, and the guy's very productive, and he's also good in the pass game. Now, the Eagles' defense, who, by the way, in that game, that Rams game, that first game, Brandon Graham, who got hurt in that game, was absolutely unstoppable in that game. And by the way, Milton Williams also had 2 sacks. He's been phenomenal. If I was a Pro Bowl voter, I would have voted, I could tell you, for Milton Williams. We don't talk about him enough, Josh. I'm telling you, we just don't talk. He's a phenomenal football player.
Adam, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you really quick. I know that the Rams are a little more banged up than the Eagles are this time of year, so give the audience some insight into what is going on with Witherspoon and Brown. I know McVay said Higbee should be good to go after his hospital stint.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he had a chest contusion. The reason why I went to the hospital is because he had bleeding, and you're always worried about what that can be because it could be a lung contusion. Well, in this case, it was a chest contusion. So he's clear to play. The only player they have a mild concern about, I was told this morning, was Akilla Witherspoon, who's one of their starting outside corners. Akilla Witherspoon is kind of a journeyman corner, started in the Super Bowl many years ago with the 49ers, kind of bounced around with Seattle, Pittsburgh, now his second year with the Rams. And with Witherspoon, because he had a hamstring injury, to start, because remember, they're on a short week. They didn't get home until early Tuesday morning. They weren't totally sure, but they thought his treatment went well. He was supposed to practice today. Now, they just started practice about 15 minutes ago, so we're not going to know for sure. But we'll update on the pregame show for Inside the Birds. And by the way, we're going to drop the pregame show early because we know some people have told us, because when we drop it Sunday morning, people already have left for the game. So we're going to do everyone a solid. We're going to drop that. Patreon people get it tonight, and the rest of the public will get it tomorrow morning. So if you're a Patreon member, we had an unbelievable live chat last night, an hour and 20 minutes, where we gave it a lot of information. And then go to patreon.com/InsideTheBirds to sign up. Get Greg Cosell, get John DeFilippo, the former Eagles quarterbacks coach, has been with us, and other surprises coming on here. But if you just want to subscribe to our regular show, go to YouTube, as you mentioned, Josh, earlier. By the way, we had a great interview with Ross Tucker, who does Eagles preseason and also does radio for Westwood One. He had a phenomenal story about he called this game as a color analyst for CBS then. Remember that crazy Patriots-Titans game where Tom Brady had 6 touchdowns in the first half because the Titans didn't have the right cleats? You got to hear that story. It's already available if you want to go to any of our podcasting platforms or YouTube.
Love it, love it. Adam Caplan joined us here at Caplan NFL and Twitter X platform. Inside the Birds every day brings you football at 4. Adam, great stuff. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, today's football at 4 was brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So let's recap some of the stuff that Adam Caplan said to us, and then we'll get to your guys' thoughts and text before we hit the break. 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a happy hour Friday edition of The Bash. It was Nick in Delaware earlier who mentioned the Jason Kelsey Garage Beer, so you can join in that conversation aside from just the Eagles today. He mentioned about the weather. So if I can just elaborate on that a little bit, Adam's right. The weather forecast for Sunday keeps changing. I feel like every day I've looked at the forecast, it has changed when the snow is supposed to start. Now, the amount of snow, that has not changed. All right? It's been pretty consistent that the snow is only supposed to be no more than a few inches. Okay? So we're not getting like mountains of snow. So it's not like it's going to be some massive winter blizzard or something. Now, the concern is, for those who have been following this, the reason why the weather is significant this weekend outside the Eagles game is that, and if I put my meteorologist hat on for a moment, there is a massive cold front coming with this weather pattern this weekend. So it's supposed to rain a little bit on Saturday, but it's going to be in the low 40s, basically. When the snow gets here, it's going to cool down with that part of the weather system. And when the snow is gone, we are going to have a few days next week where the weather is going to be in the 20s. There's actually a day there, I think it's Tuesday, they're forecasting the low will be 7 degrees overnight. So that's why this conversation about the Eagles is interesting, because if the snow starts a couple hours before the game, at kickoff, if it's snowing during the game, how long does the snow keep going? Does the snow initially melt because the ground will be warm and then it'll cool off as we go along? Is there going to be ice freezing under the snow Sunday night? So there's a lot of those concerns that go with this. And how it impacts the players, as you heard Adam mention, is if the players are not prepared for the weather, or the equipment staff is not prepared for the weather, or whatever the situation may be. Again, you heard JohnMcMullen say this an hour ago. He said that 1-6 record of dome teams in Philadelphia in the postseason is significant because John said teams who play in domes are not prepared for outdoor games. And again, I'll bring up the numbers. What have the Rams done this year when they have played games on the road outdoors? That's the key, okay? Outdoor games for the Rams. 12 points in San Francisco, December 12th. It was a night game. At Chicago Bears, Sunday afternoon, late September, 18 points. December 22nd, 1 o'clock game at the New York Jets. They scored 19 points. All the games on the road that they scored significant points or all but one were dome games. There's the one Patriots game in November that they scored 28, and part of the problem with that game was Patriots had some injuries. They were not healthy on defense, and the Rams took advantage of them. That was probably one of the games that honestly got Gerard Mayo fired. I think there were a lot of people who were thinking the Patriots were going to be maybe a little better on defense in that game, and the Patriots really struggled in a bunch of situations in that game defensively. So the Rams had over 400 total yards in that game. So, but aside from the Patriots game, look, they scored. They're not a great road team. Okay, the Rams. You go through the road schedule, they average almost a touchdown less per game on the road than at home. And so that's where the talk about the snow and the weather and the cold comes in. Not just because for you guys, the fans who might be going to the game, or those of you who might be traveling around for last-minute store shopping before the game starts at 3 p.m., it's the idea that the other team might not be equipped for this. And I think that in some ways negates, and I don't want to say diminishes, because that's not fair, because I don't want to diminish the guy, but it takes the Nakobe Dean injury and makes it less of a negative, because now you have a team coming into your house that is not good outside, that is not good on the road, that is not great in the cold weather, and averages almost a touchdown less per game on the road than at home. So to me, I think that is why this is significant. And then the other thing that Caplan mentioned before we wrap this up, the cornerback Witherspoon did not practice yesterday dealing with a hamstring issue. As we know here in Philadelphia, hamstrings are something that take a while to recover. We saw Mailata take 4 weeks. Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown took 3 weeks each. So we know here in Philadelphia how hamstrings can be, and there is a real possibility that Witherspoon does not play on Sunday. And that's another guy who will not be available for the Rams in a game that they absolutely need everyone available. And if you are A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, whoever, Jahan Dotson, knowing that the Rams are going to be shorthanded in their secondary potentially, it is definitely a benefit. It's definitely a benefit for the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday when Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call the action here in your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. Coming up on the other side, it's another edition of Nick's Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw joins me next for a Friday edition of the Nugs on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Friday edition of the Sports Bash.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Traverse and Corvette, excludes prior sales. Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now there's available 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9. And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gill from the Sports Bash. The action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks, check out trending parlays, and increase your winning with profit boosts. New customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code RADIO100. That's RADIO100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Up top, Bike Shop.
Yeah. It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messelthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Progressive's AutoQuote Explorer lets you easily more confident than you were when you bought that TV in the parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's AutoQuote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Shop now at the Home Depot and save on select appliances like Frigidaire. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid January 9th through the 29th, 2025.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NFL, the Eagles taking on the LA Rams on Sunday in the NFC Divisional round. The Rams have won 6 of their last 7 as they got healthy during the season, coming off a win against Minnesota Monday night in the wild card round. Their only loss during that stretch came in Week 18 when they rested starters. Philadelphia, they lost linebacker Nakobe Dean for the postseason with a knee injury. They beat the Rams back in week number 12, 37-20. NHL, the Flyers head to Newark Saturday. They'll take on the New Jersey Devils. Philadelphia beat the Islanders on Thursday night 5-3 and have won 3 of their last 4. Garrett Hathaway scored a shorthanded goal. Cam York and Noah Cates scored in the third period. NBA, the Sixers facing the Indiana Pacers on Saturday. The Sixers have dropped 4 straight after they fell in overtime Wednesday to the Knicks. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
New Jersey packs a lot of wow into every winter getaway. We got wows to knock your ski socks off, wows to warm your soul, and wows to blow your mind. New Jersey, it's one wow after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We're firmly in the dead of winter now. This weekend is on average one of the coldest of the entire year, and it's about to feel like it again with snow and extreme cold in the forecast. Increasing clouds tonight, but quiet. Chilly low temperature of 31. Cloudy skies tomorrow, high 47. Quick round of rain showers in the afternoon. Turning colder on Sunday, high down to 35. Watch for snow moving in Sunday afternoon and evening. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
At NJM Insurance, we're like a symphony. It all starts by doing the right thing. Add in dedicated reps and put policyholders first. But no jingles or mascots because It's just not us. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Still to come on the show, we will talk more about the Rams. Erin Coscarelli, she covers the Rams as part of the Bleav in the Rams podcast. She'll join us coming up in the next hour. But right now, of course, you know what time it is. It's time for Nick's Nuggets, and the Friday edition of the Nugs is brought to you by the original Piccalilli Inn. Visit them on Facebook or at Piccalilli.com for their pick game specials, and be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli Route 201, right, Route 2 in Shamong. I got to tell you, Nick, I hope you're not planning to print anything on. Half of the bottom of my page is like messed up on my read sheet. So I would recommend if you could find a printer, maybe at Staples, before you come in. You do it on Saturday morning. Nick Earnshaw is producer for The Locker Room on Saturdays on 97.3 ESPN. Nick's got a busy week and weekend. I mean, you will be with Billy on Saturday and Sunday. You were with Billy last night, and I think Billy pretty much has been texting you nonstop like me.
Hello, Hennig. Nice to see you. Yes, I will have a busy weekend. I got a lot of football to talk about. I feel like I've been with the Schweiner every day this week. That's a lot of Schwein for 1 week, to say the least.
That's all you got for me?
That's all I got.
Jeez, man.
That's all I got.
You all right over
That's
there?
all I got for you.
I mean, I just said like 20 things before I brought you up, and you were just like, hey, yeah, I've been with Schwein a lot.
Yeah, I have. I'm not lying here. That's all I got for you. I've been with Schwein all week. I'm going to be with them all weekend again. It's a lot of Eagles to talk about. We're going to airdrop things to them so we don't have to print. I mean, that's all I got for you, Hennig. All right, because he can't figure out how to airdrop. It's hysterical. But we got some nuggets to talk about with you today. And there's a couple things that I have to get off my chest. And first, it starts with linebacker Jared Verse. I don't know if you saw the LA Times article done about Jared Verse. Listen, he was somebody who grew up in Pennsylvania, played high school football in Pennsylvania, so he's familiar kind of with the area around here and how the Eagles fans are and how we support our teams around here. Well, apparently he's not that much of a big fan of Eagles fans, to say the least. In this article, Josh Hennig, Jared Verse was quoted saying, "I hate Eagles fans. They're so annoying. I hate Eagles fans. When I see that green and white, I hate it. I actually get upset. Like, I actually get genuinely hot." That is quote from Jared Verse in the LA Times. The article goes on to say, the Eagles fans yelled something at him at their home game in Los Angeles earlier in the season when Saquon Barkley had one of his biggest days of the year. Saquon Barkley responded saying, probably not the best thing to say to Eagles fans 2 days before a game. Josh, Jared Verse, not smart here by the rookie. A rookie move, clearly, by Jared Verse.
So I wanted to do a little more looking into this, and so I decided to read through The Athletic. It's not a companion piece, but it came out around the same time as the LA Times article. And apparently, Jared Verse is a pretty big trash talker. He's a very passionate player. He's very intense. But apparently, he's a guy who just really, really is passionate about football. And he has a lot of opinions about football in general. So this doesn't surprise me at all if you've done your research. I did think it's funny that the guy literally can't stand Eagles green. It's part of the reason why I wore my Eagles green today here, because I wanted to make Jared Verse as angry as possible. Because, see, Nick, we've had Eagle players kicked out of games this year because of them losing their temper. I want Jared Verse to lose his temper and get kicked out of a game. I want the tables to get flipped in this situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, he is a trash talker. This is probably not the person or the group of people to be trash talking before a game. And I don't know if you saw what Darius Slay said today. He was interviewed. He had a media gaggle around his locker. He's expecting snowballs on Sunday, to say the least. We're getting a snow game. He's expecting maybe some snowballs. Jared Verse might have opened himself up for that.
No, see, I don't want snowballs. I want I just want constant verbal assault because I want him to get so angry that he does something irrational, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Jalen Carter. Like, I want him to have a moment where his temper and his inability to control himself hurts his team, because it's the only way, Nick, he's going to learn his lesson.
Yeah, and listen, Jared Verse has had a very good season. 19th pick of the draft, probably going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, right? Like, he's a very good player. Maybe go one of the players, not the fan base, not smart. Now, listen, you can talk all your trash you want, but like, keep it within reason, I think. Hey, he said he hates the fans. He hates the color green. I didn't know he got triggered by the Eagles this much, to say the least. Like, it's crazy to me that this comes out in an LA Times article 2 days before the game. This is Billy Schwein. He loves his bulletin board material. This is his bulletin board material. We'll be talking about this all weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Billy's going to love this. I mean, he's going to drop Jared Verse's name every hour on the locker room this weekend.
Oh, yeah, you better believe it. We will be talking about it. Looking forward to that. And speaking of snow, nugget number 2, they're calling for a lot of snow this weekend, Josh. I'm a big snow guy. I like snow, and I heard you and Caplan talking about it earlier. I'm with you guys. If it's going to snow, baby, snow. Like, give me a 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. Don't give me a 2-inch or, the coating that we had last night for no reason. No. I need a blizzard out there, and there's nothing better than the snow game. So I want to give you some snow stats, Josh Hennig, okay?
Okay, all right.
So, Matt Stafford, he's not very good when there's precipitation. He is 1-8 with 14 touchdowns and 13 interceptions in his career when there is either rain or snow. Since 2021, he is 1-1 in games under 40 degrees. That is since he joined the Rams. Right? They got a big dome out there. They're a dome team. So that is on the positive side for the Philadelphia Eagles, according to CBS research. That is where Matt Stafford stands. He doesn't win in these type of games. It's going to be really cold. There's going to be precipitation. I would not trust Matt Stafford in a game like this. This bodes well for the Birds on Sunday at 3:00.
Overall, dome teams are 1-6 in the playoffs in Lincoln Financial Field. So you got to keep that. It's not just Matthew Stafford. It's all these teams, Nick. I said it before you came on. These teams do not prepare for the weather. They just don't. They think, we're in a dome. We're fine, and that's why, you look at the Rams outdoor games this year, 12 points in San Francisco, 18 points in Chicago, 19 points at MetLife Stadium versus the Jets. Listen, this is not a team that does great in the outdoors. The most points they've scored all year outside was 28 against the New England Patriots. I think we both can agree, Nick, the Eagles are a better football team than the New England Patriots.
You think? Maybe a little bit, by slim margin, I guess. Listen, I don't trust the Rams in this type of game. I think the elements will hurt them. Remember, they've been kind of known as a finesse team over the course of their tenure, especially with Sean McVay. They rely heavily on those screen passes with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. I'm curious to see how it affects them. And, the Eagles, listen, I think they'll be just fine. Remember that Detroit game earlier in 2013? I mean, that was such a fun game. Matt Stafford played in that game against the Philadelphia Eagles. That came out of nowhere. I was 13 years old at that point, Josh. And the fact that I remember it was just like a cold, normal day. All of a sudden, just a blizzard. I remember watching that full Eagles game. My goodness, I think you're going to get a similar performance out of Matt Stafford as well. And I think you're going to get another Saquon Barkley type of big game and some highlight tape reels from Barkley, just like LaShawn McCoy did that day.
Also, one more thing for you. Sean McVay, losing record against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, he has not had success against the Eagles in his tenure. And that's another reason, even if it wasn't a snow game, Josh, I would have taken the Eagles no matter what in this ball game, because they have had so much success against the Rams over the course of Sean McVay's tenure. And we saw what they did earlier in the season against them. Saquon Barkley ran all over them. I trust the Eagles defense in this game too. So listen, they had a nice win over those Minnesota Vikings, but I can't see them coming into Philadelphia and beating the Birds. It just does not feel like that type of weekend. And with the snow on top of it, the Eagles, I think, are more prepared. And they're not a dome team. We don't have a dome team. Even though maybe at some point the Eagles could get a dome, that I wouldn't be too opposed to it.
Not this weekend.
Not too opposed, but right now, right this second, I like the Birds in this one.
All right, what else you got?
All right, final nugget number 3, Josh Hennig, and it has to do with the 76ers. It could become in the winter, during the winter months, it's a Sixers nugget all the time. Joel Embiid has to be reevaluated, according to Shams Charania. Comes out today. He had swelling at practice once again in his knee. It seems like the ankle's fine, the sprain's fine, but the knee is still the issue at this point. Reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. Josh, I'm at the point now where over the next 2 weeks, even without Embiid, you got to see where you're at, and then that determines what you do the rest of the season. Because you have that top 6 protected pick. If you could keep that pick, get a nice player, great. If they could find a way to stick around in the play-in, because they're starting to fall backwards again. They're in 11th spot now. What a lost season. And I am very now gravely concerned that we have hit a point, and Mike and I have talked about this on Nuggets before with Joel Embiid, that, remember, I screamed about his age, and before he signed that contract, I remember bringing it up on this very segment, saying, I don't know, I wouldn't trust giving him that contract this year. I have to wait till after the year and then reevaluate if you want to give him that extension. That might even be a worse mistake. Looking at it just now, it could be. I'm not saying it is yet, but that could be a worse contract than Tobias Harris and Paul George combined. At this point, because that knee issue looks way worse than they have let on. The Olympics may have been a mistake, and the sky might be falling, Josh Hennig, for the 76ers.
Yeah, the Sixers are in a weird spot. They're 2 games out of the final play-in spot right now. But as you mentioned, they've been losing a lot of games lately. They're 3 and 7 in the last 10 games.
I think you're right.
So it's like, at some point, it felt like I said the other day, Nick, that December was a tease. December was get your hopes up, get reinvested, we're coming, and then the rug was pulled out from every Sixer fan once 2025 hit. And I said it over a month ago, Nick. I would be a proponent of just bailing on the season and getting that pick and just rebuilding around Maxey. The problem is there's 2 problems right now. Number one, the team with the worst record doesn't get the number 1 pick over automatically. It goes into that lottery thing. They get the even odds. So you got that going against you. So I don't know if you're going to be able to lose enough to get like a top 4 pick necessarily. That's number one. Number two, right now the Sixers have 15 wins. I'm looking at the NBA standings. So as a total, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 teams with fewer wins than them.
Technically, they're at the 8th pick. It's outside the top 6.
So if you're going to invest in the tank, you got to do it ASAP. Like you can't play around with this. Like you gotta invest in, and I think that's the problem. Kevin Kincaid brought this up to me from Crossing Broad earlier this week about how Daryl Morey, Nick, is great at hyper investing in winning, but he's not great at investing in losing. And you just have to wonder, is Daryl Morey going to try to go into this trade deadline, give up assets for something that's not going to work again? Remember Buddy Hield? Yep. Yeah, it didn't work out. And Morey even admitted after the year it didn't work out. So I don't know how much I trust Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, and the Sixers brain trust right now, because we all know what's going on. They're using this stadium conversation as a distraction from what's going on the court. They're trying to get people like you and me and everybody else to say, oh, they're not moving to Center City. Is this exciting? Isn't this great? They're going to be still in the sports complex. Meanwhile, one, the team is losing, and then we're distracted from that. And two, there's that story out there, Nick, that Camden could still be an option. That apparently the Sixers are supposedly still saying, oh, maybe we can go to Camden instead, So it's like all of these smoke screens are to distract us from the fact that this organization, Nick, built a team around a player who has barely played. They built the entire roster to complement Joel Embiid. They didn't build it to complement anyone else. And this is why it's imploding on them.
Yeah, I mean, this was all built. This whole entire roster was built around Embiid. And it's not just Embiid not playing. Nobody's playing. Everyone's been hurt. Paul George has been out of the lineup. Tyrese Maxey's been out of the lineup. The role players have been out of the lineup. Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, all of these players have been out of the lineup. Obviously, the key is Joel Embiid, but you can't go into every single night with him being questionable. Yeah, the knee might flare up tonight. I mean, you're getting into Yao Ming territory now. I'm sorry. And I've said this before. A big man at his size, for how long he's been in the league, now entering his 30s, it never, ever, ever, ever bodes well. And this was the reasoning I gave earlier in the season that they should have held off on the contract extension. Forget this season, okay? Looking long term, they now have him paid pretty handsomely over the next 3 to 4 years, okay? You are now kind of stuck with Joel Embiid because who's going to trade for him? You're not going to get that much value for a Joel Embiid. You can't trade him this year. You have to wait until at least after the season to even entertain that option. But his value has significantly dropped. It's an absolute mess. And that's why it makes you wonder over the next week or two, depending on how they play and where they end up. They're the 11th spot right now, 2 games back of a play-in spot. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, yes, they could still get into the postseason. It can happen. It definitely can happen. This something can turn around. But they're playing a lot of really good teams over 500 over the next couple of weeks. And that doesn't bode well. So it would not shock me if they do go in that direction where it's kind of like, all right, Embiid, you're done for the year. We're not even going to entertain you playing this year. We're going to try it again next year. And that's been the problem with this organization. It's always like, let's go for it next year. And what an absolute disaster that has been. So with the 76ers, I mean, you could feel it in the building the other night that they're losing it. They're starting to go to that point of irrelevancy in this city.
Listen, the real problem is, Nick, guys like you keep going to the games. You guys are going to Flyers games. Stop going to Sixers
I think I'm going to make the switch. I might have to make the switch to the Bleeds for the Flyers now.
Listen, I have been told the Flyers have been a blast. I've been told by people who cover the Flyers. It's funny. You'll laugh at this. I'm friends with more people who cover the Flyers than the Sixers. And Gill is friends with more people who cover the Sixers and the Flyers.
It's true.
So I might be biased, okay? But everyone who I talk to tells me that the Flyers are a much more fun product this year than the last few years.
Oh, no doubt about it.
It's worth being in the building. The goaltending's a bit of a messy thing. But you know what? At least they're more fun to watch than the Sixers.
And they're building towards something. This team, they're stuck. They're just stuck with where they're at right now. Everyone's hurt. They're stuck. Listen, maybe all of a sudden he gets healthy by May and they just shut him down until then and maybe they stay afloat. I highly doubt it.
Well, guess what? The Flyers star player, he's playing every night.
He plays. Michkov plays.
He plays every night. The only game he didn't play, he got benched for not playing defense.
The knee is it's an injury where it's like
there's no knee problems with the Flyers.
No, there's not. Not like with Joel Embiid. Listen, that knee at his size, at his age, we may have seen the best of Joel Embiid. That might be behind us. Now, we might never get a 70-pointer type of performance ever again.
By a random question, John Tortorella, he wins in a steel cage match versus the other 3 coaches, right?
So I give Sirianni a chance there. Come on.
You give Sirianni a chance?
He's a fiery guy. I got to give Sirianni a chance. I wouldn't just call it a blowout. I would give Sirianni a chance there, Josh.
I just feel like Topper would tap out. He would just be like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to go back to the dugout. I don't want to get in this fight.
Yeah.
And I feel like Nick Nurse is like secretly like just not a fighter. Like I think Nick Nurse is the guy who pays people to guard him.
Yeah.
He would never guard anybody.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, but I wouldn't just say give it to Tortorella. Sirianni, hey, he's got some fight in him, man. We seen he's got that dog in him.
Who's more passionate, Tortorella or Sirianni? I mean, they're both animated on the sideline.
Oh, that's a tough one. Who is more passionate about their sport?
I mean, they literally joked the other night on the national telecast with Tortorella. They had to stop showing him on the bench because it was dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I think the texters should answer. The audience should give you a better answer than I could. I'll go tie. I'll be boring and go tie. 609-403-0973. There you go, Josh.
All right, that's Nick's Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw tomorrow with Billy Schweim in the locker room. And then Sunday he is with me and Billy Schweim for the Eagles pregame show at Chicken or the Egg in Marlton, which is a short drive from where you're living. So it's good for you, bad for me.
Yes, it's a perfect spot for me, to say the least. Josh, I'll talk to you. See you Sunday.
Nick Earnshaw, everybody, here on 97.3 ESPN. And of course, Nick's Nuggets is brought to you by the original Piccalilli Inn. Visit them on Facebook or at Piccalilli.com for their pick game specials, and be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli, Route 206 in Shamong. See, I had to, I'm working through, where the type didn't type, so I'm, slowing down my speech, trying to read it over here. That is a good question. Who is the more passionate coach? Paul from Rehoboth chimes in and says, Josh, I went and saw the Flyers versus Panthers Tuesday night. It was like a playoff feel in the building. You can feel the hope in the arena. The Sixers games feel like a funeral. I'm telling you, Paul, you're not the only person I've heard say that. I have heard a lot of people tell me the Flyers games are a blast to go to. There's a ton of energy in the building. Listen, the only way the Sixers are going to change anything is if people just stop giving them their money. But I know that's not going to happen because for a lot of people, they just want to be in the building for the game. They're not as hyperly worried about whether the Sixers win or lose sometimes. But the same problem is people keep blaming them losing. So it's a tough gift. I say support the team that's trying to build for the future. That's Flyer. That's just my opinion. All right, more Eagles talk coming up next. Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schweim, producer Nick Earnshaw, and former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemick join me in the studio. We will preview the Eagles playoff game against the Rams. Hour 2, Mr. Negadelphia PJ Corda checks in on the Philly sports scene, brought to you by the Galloway Pool Service. Then we will get our high school athletes in the spotlight with Fran McLaughlin, brought to you by the Philly Pretzel Factory of Egg Harbor Township. Sixers, Flyers, talk and more. It's the locker room with Billy Schweim, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
So you need a new car or SUV, but you're upside down in your trade, but you're worried about your down payment, but your credit is less than perfect. Bring your butts to any Matt Blatt Kia today. With over 1,100 new Kias, all with zero down, zero payments until April, or get $10,000 in bonus cash, or 0% for 72 months on every clearly marked Kia EV6 and 9. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released new all-wheel drive Kia Sportage or Sorento. 1.9% for 60 months. Matt Blatt Kia. With our PA and New Jersey Kia superstores, Abington, Egg Harbor Township, Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, $13.89 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details, or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 2/4/25. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Flex Premium Athleisure is softness that plays hard. From the couch, to the gym, to the office, and beyond, Flex gives you premium comfort and style that keeps up with anything, without costing everything. Now, take an extra 15% off Flex at Kohl's. Whether you're chasing the ball or chasing the kids, life's a workout. Flex with it, exclusively at Kohl's. 15% off valid through January 20th. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Tune in to the Bet365 Play of the Day during the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, every weekday afternoon at 5:45 on 97.3 ESPN. Made possible by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices. Just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Winter savings are heating up at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new vehicles in stock and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Our expert team is ready to help you find your perfect Honda with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com or stop by today. Hurry, these deals won't last. Boardwalk Honda, your trusted destination for exceptional Honda savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
New Jersey's got a lot of winter wow. Wows to knock your ski socks off. Wows to warm your soul. And wows to blow your mind. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure, dewy skin. Terrific.
Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare.
Wow. With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
The Eagles are headed to the playoffs. Congratulations to the entire Eagles organization. It's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. We're proud to be the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Come join us for all the Eagles playoff action and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, all of your Chicky and Pete's favorites, and of course, world-famous crab fries. Perfect for Eagles playoffs. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour. With unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him! It's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Mike Gill.
The Rams are eager for this rematch against the Eagles since that Week 12 loss when Saquon Barkley rushed for 255 yards, a franchise record. Sean McVay called that a humbling experience, but says that it led to real growth opportunities, and arguably no greater growth has been seen than from first-year coordinator Chris Shula's defense. That group sharply improving their run defense and the number of points they've allowed per game. So a great improvement for them since Week 12.
ESPN NFL reporter Lindsey Theory earlier today on SportsCenter. They might have improved, but did they improve enough? We'll find out more detail coming up in about 24 minutes from now when Aaron Coscarelli, the co-host of the Bleav in Rams podcast, joins us here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Hope everyone's having a great day out there. Text board is open as always, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So is the Rams making improvements good enough for this Sunday? Well, if you've been listening for the last 3 hours, if you have, I appreciate it. But if you've just tuned in here on 97.3 ESPN, thank you for joining us wherever you're doing on the mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle, whether you're listening on the radio at 97.3 ESPN FM, or maybe you want to, wherever you're catching the show, flip on my YouTube channel, wherever you're catching the show, we thank you for joining us. You know, this team, the Rams, are they legitimately going to come into Philadelphia and take on the Eagles? And you've heard the stats all day. Nick Earnshaw talked about how Matthew Stafford has a losing record in Philadelphia as a quarterback. Dome teams are 1-6 in Philadelphia in the postseason at Lincoln Financial Field. Sean McVay has a losing record against the Philadelphia Eagles. So why would we believe in any scenario that the Rams are just suddenly going to be that much better than the last time we played them? They still scored 3 touchdowns against you in the first matchup. It wasn't like you beat them down like the Dallas Cowboys earlier this year. Well, the key to all this is actually not going to be Chris Shula and his defense. The key to all this is actually going to be Vic Fangio and his defense. Sean McVay has said multiple times over the years that Nick Fangio is the most difficult person that he has ever had the game plan and coach against. And we have the audio. We played it earlier. We'll play it back for you again. Phil Simms on the Bleav Podcasting Network explained what makes Fangio and his defense so special.
They got everything on that team. I think they have a great understanding about who they are and what to do. Bill Cowher used to say this to me about Vic Fangio. He goes, you know, when you're teaching all this stuff, it takes a while to get it because teaching zones is harder than teaching man-to-man. And now the Eagles, man, Vic Fangio, he's got the magic wand. It's better than I've ever seen it.
And I go back to, and I know it's a while ago, so I'm just going to refresh everybody's memory. You know, Vic Fangio spoke after the Falcons loss, right? That game in which they gave up that last-minute drive to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and that led them to lose that game. Fangio said after the game, I have to coach these guys better. I got to teach these guys better. I got to do a better job. And initially, a lot of us reacted to, oh, here we go, coach speak. The guy's just, going up there and saying whatever. Well, he legitimately cleaned things up. You saw what they did in the Saints game that next week. You saw coming out of the bye week how it was multiple weeks of just shutdown, lockdown, elite level pass defense. And so the key for this Eagles team, while we might talk a lot about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, it might be Vic Fangio may be this team's most valuable person for the 2024 season and the 2025 postseason, because this defense was either last or bottom 5 in every relevant category last year. This year, they are top 5 in all of those categories. They went from being the 3rd worst scoring defense to the 2nd best scoring defense. They went from being the worst red zone defense to the 5th best red zone defense. They went from being the 3rd worst 3rd down defense to the 3rd best 3rd down defense. So realistically, the Rams can think they're improved all they want, but the reality tells a different story. Sometimes self-belief can be counterintuitive if you don't have a grip on reality. It sounds, okay? It sounds great for someone who covers the Rams to say, oh, this team's feeling great about themselves. Well, first of all, let's remind people, they're playing on a short week. They had to win the game on Monday night. Second of all, they haven't played a game at home in a few weeks. That game in Arizona is supposed to be a home game. Well, those California Wildfires kicked them out of LA for the game. And you heard Adam Caplan talk about this in the last hour on Football at 4 here on 97.3 ESPN. Adam Caplan said the Rams are planning to fly in tomorrow. So they are trying to spend every single second they can not in Philadelphia. All signs are pointing to the Philadelphia is going to win this game. And the part of the reason why they're going to win this game is because of their defense. I get it. The Rams are probably a little more healthy than they were the last time they matched up. Rams just dropped their injury report. And their injury report shows that they have 4 guys who are questionable. All right? Now, on the surface, questionable does not mean you're not playing. We all understand that. For anyone who's listened to 97.3 ESPN for a while, we've explained to you that questionable is more like a designation to give a team hope a guy can play. But the guy to keep an eye on, well, there's 2 of them, I should say. All right? Number 1 of those questionable guys is their interior defensive lineman, Bobby Brown. He makes things easier for the other guys on that D-line. Fisk, Verse. He is the guy kind of like what Jordan Davis can do, or kind of like what Jalen Carter can do. Not on the same level of those guys, but a guy who generates attention, takes up space, and allows the other guys to work. He has not practiced all week. Alaric Jackson, one of their starting offensive tackles, he did not practice today, dealing with chest and knee injuries. And then on defense, Akello Witherspoon did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. He is questionable after being a limited participant in practice today. So the Rams can have all the good vibes and all the good juju and the energy and the blah, 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 all they want. But the reality is that they are banged up, they are not healthy, and they are coming to Philadelphia in the cold, in some snow, in adverse conditions where every single metric is against you. And at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles are just the better football team. And listen, as I talked about earlier here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Friday. Hope you're all having a great day out there. You guys can chime in. Why do you think the Eagles are going to win the game? I'm giving you all my reasons, but you guys can tell me at 609-403-0973 your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. But part of the reason we think the Eagles are going to win is because they have a winning formula. There's a formula. There's something that they're doing that works. And part of it is that Vic Fangio defense, as Phil Simms mentioned. This Fangio defense is playing at such a high level that you go into games not worrying as much as you would about the other team's offense. And that's even with them allowing 3 touchdowns in the first matchup between these teams. I'm not oblivious to that fact. But that was also in Los Angeles. And that was also in a dome. And the Rams have showed you this year, they're not so good on the road. They're not so good in the elements. Matthew Stafford has showed you, not so good on the road, not as good in the elements. And the formula for some of you might not be aesthetically pleasing. It's going to be about running the ball. Rams are bottom 10 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game, and total yards this year. It'll also go down to the defense. The Eagles' defense has been elite in recent weeks. And even without Nakobe Dean, Mike Mayock on the Bleav in Eagles podcast says that he doesn't see the Eagles' defense changing much without Dean on the field.
Oren Burks came in, did a good job. Yeah, he had 4 tackles and ran around. I mean, he's been. It's not like he's a rookie. He's been around the league a few years. He's been with the Eagles. Will it be a little bit of a drop off? Yeah, a little bit, but I don't think significant enough that you really change much.
You're not going to change much. So if you're not going to change much, then why do I believe the Rams even have a chance to win this game? The only way the Rams have a chance to win this game is if the Eagles let them. And I don't think Philadelphia is going to let them. You know, I think that we talked about this earlier in the show with JohnMcMullen, the 3 o'clock hour, about how guys like A.J. Brown, guys like Lane Johnson, these guys are almost creating boogeymen. They're almost creating villains. They're creating reasons for them to get angry and us against the world. Nobody likes us. We don't care. And I thought John McMullen brought up a great point, because you know who else did that same thing? The 2017 Eagles. The 2017 Eagles were favored in their first 2 postseason games that year. But yet they tried to paint it like they were the underdog, like no one respected them, that everyone hates on them. I think this team is kind of a similar vibe. They were definitive favorites in the first round against the Packers. They're definitive favorites again in this round against the Rams. And frankly, depending on who they face in the next round, they wouldn't be big underdogs in that game. If they face the Lions, have to go to Detroit, I'm assuming Detroit's going to be, what, a 1.5, 2.5 point favorite at most? And if the Commanders have to come to Philadelphia, I mean, we all know what's going to happen in that situation. If they have to come to Philadelphia, the Commanders, Philadelphia is going to be favored by, what, 5, 6 again? So that's why I'm saying that, to me, the Eagles are going to win this game. And that's part of the reason why this team is considered a Super Bowl contender. Because of the fact that they don't have the flaws that other teams do. They are healthier than any other team in the NFC bracket in the postseason. They arguably have the best offensive line. They have the best individual defensive lineman in the entire NFC right now, in Jalen Carter. Zach Bond is playing at an elite level. They had the best secondary that I can remember them having in maybe, 20 years? When was the last time that you legitimately could look out on an Eagles game and say, oh man, that secondary, watch out? I know some people might point to 2022, but I don't think I felt that way in 2022. I felt confident in the secondary, but I didn't say, here they come, about the secondary. To me, that's where the difference is. The difference is that in 2022, Bradbury, Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Marcus Epps, they were a really good unit, but they were not locked down, shut down. You might not want to throw on them because if you put it in the wrong place, they're going to get you kind of defense. Because you take Blankenship, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, put them together, they have caught a lot of interceptions this year. And Quinyon Mitchell has been an incredible addition for this team, as well as Cooper DeJean. And for the people who thought that Darius Slay was washed, go back and rewatch the interception that he had last Sunday. So for me, if you're the person who says the Eagles are going to lose this Sunday, or they have no chance going to the Super Bowl, or I'm worried about Jalen Hurts, I'm worried about the offense, I don't know what planet you live on, because all the evidence is showing me that this is the Eagles' game to lose. Now, of course, if the Eagles were to get to the Super Bowl and they play the Chiefs, let's say, obviously you're not going to favor them in that matchup, because at the end of the day, no matter how many flaws the Kansas City Chiefs may have, they are the Ric Flair story, right? They are the Ric Flair rule. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And until someone beats the man, that man's going to be there at the end of the day. He is still going to be the final boss. He is still going to be Bowser in Super Mario Brothers. He is still going to be standing in your way of getting to the princess. So I'm not denying that the Eagles wouldn't have challenges along the way to get there. But I just think that there's some hyperbole from people about this Rams team. They're overlooking the fact that the Rams beat a lot of meh teams down the stretch, that they struggle to score points on the road. They are not a great road team. Sean McVay has struggled against Philadelphia. There's so much information out there that shows us that the Eagles are going to win this game. But yet, you got some people who are just so hung up on Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, the Eagles offense. Like, I literally saw somebody last night say the Eagles are going to lose because Sean McVay is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. And I honestly had to do a double take, because I'm looking around and I'm like, does this person forget how many times Sean McVay has lost to the Eagles? And not just Nick Sirianni. And listen, there's probably some weird reason why he keeps losing the way he does to the Eagles. But at the end of the day, the Los Angeles Rams, when they lost early this year, 37-20, they did so by being the inferior team. When they lost last year to the Philadelphia Eagles, it was because they were the inferior team. And for as great as we give Sean McVay credit for being a great coach, and he is, made it to 2 Super Bowls, that's no small accomplishment. But just in the Nick Sirianni era, Sean McVay is 0 for 2 in the Nick Sirianni era. So I do think that there is more pointing in the Eagles' direction than not for this game. All right, before we hit the break, Croce chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, you think not having Jakobi is going to make a huge impact? It's not that I don't think it's going to be a huge impact. I think the not having Nakobe Dean has a lesser impact because of who you're playing this Sunday, Croce. To me, I look at who the Rams have, at the running back position and the tight end position, and I don't see people that are going to exploit the Eagles without Dean. And realistically, the only teams that would exploit you without Nakobe Dean are teams that exploit everybody, right? Jahmyr Gibbs has trampled all over everyone this year. It's not just teams with not great linebacker play, right? You look at the Chiefs. They know how to manipulate as well as anybody in the NFL, right? You look at the Ravens. They have run over people with really great defenses this year. So, to me, the reason why I am not hung up on Nakobe Dean, Croce, is because of the fact that I know that the only teams that can take advantage of us with Nakobe Dean are the teams that take advantage of everybody. Show me the team that shut down Jahmyr Gibbs or shut down Patrick Mahomes and I mean Patrick Mahomes since he got DeAndre Hopkins, I should say. Show me the team that has completely stopped the Ravens' Mark Andrews. It almost never happens. So that's for me, Croce, why I'm not as worried about Nakobe Dean as maybe some other people. All right, coming up the other side, more insight on the Rams. How legitimate are these good vibes with the Los Angeles Rams coming into this game? Erin Coscarelli, she covers the Rams. She's the co-host of the Bleav in Rams podcast. Also, national NFL reporter, joins us next on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a happy hour Friday.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight. And you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. The Nizam's Indian Restaurant on Route 40 in Egg Harbor Township is ready to serve you delicious Indian dishes. NJ.com ranked them as the #2 best restaurant in all of New Jersey. And this just in. It's their Eagles football special. Your table receives free tandoori, spicy chicken wings if the Eagles win for dine-in customers only. Join them for a special lunch buffet, Fridays through Sundays from 11:30 to 3 p.m. Visit thenizams.com for more information.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
NBA, the Sixers facing the Indiana Pacers Saturday. Philadelphia will start a 3-game road trip with stops in Milwaukee and Denver. They've lost 4 straight, losing in overtime to the Knicks Wednesday in overtime. Joel Embiid has missed the last 6 games with a foot injury. NHL, the Flyers head to Newark Saturday to take on the New Jersey Devils. Philadelphia beat the Islanders Thursday night 5-3. They have now won 3 of their last 4. Garnett Hathaway scoring a shorthanded goal, and Cam York and Noah Cates both scored in the third period. The NFL playoffs continuing Sunday for the Eagles. They'll take on the LA Rams. The Rams beat Minnesota Monday night and have won 6 of their last 7. These two teams met back in Week 12 at SoFi Stadium, with the Eagles winning 37-20. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We're firmly in the dead of winter now. This weekend is on average one of the coldest of the entire year, and it's about to feel like it again with snow and extreme cold in the forecast. Increasing clouds tonight, but quiet. Chilly low temperature of 31. Cloudy skies tomorrow, high 47. Quick round of rain showers in the afternoon. Turning colder on Sunday, high down to 35. Watch for snow moving in Sunday afternoon and evening. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
The 2025 Hercules Tires MAC Basketball Championships are returning to Atlantic City's iconic Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall for the 6th consecutive year, March 11th through the 15th, featuring 22 men's and women's teams. The tournament is fun for the family, featuring a band jam, Spirit Squad showcase, Kids Day, and mascot game. Don't miss the chance to be a part of the action to see who will cut down the nets and earn a spot in the big dance. Visit macsports.com/basketball for more information.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Stafford is hard to fool, and the reason they're so hard to defend is they have really good balance. Like this Kyron Williams, the tailback is really good. Their offensive line is really solid. So you got to stop the run, but Stafford has got as big an arm as anybody in the NFL. And if you slip up one step, he's going to make you pay.
That was Mike Mayock on the Bleav in Eagles podcast. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill in a Friday edition on 97.3 ESPN. Eagles, Rams this Sunday, and then get our outside view. We stay in the Bleav family. Erin Coscarelli, she is the co-host of the Bleav in Rams podcast. Of course, she is also a national NFL reporter, and she joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Erin, welcome in. How you doing today?
Hi, great to be with you. I'm great. I'm excited for this matchup. I love what Mike Mayock had to say.
So when you hear him say that, because, you know, the first matchup, Stafford did get 3 touchdowns against the Eagles. So it's not like Philadelphia shut down this offense. So how much, if anything, in your eyes has changed between the first and the second matchup?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And that's been the question I've been asking everybody all week long, is what's different from week 12 to now this divisional round? In my opinion, a lot, actually. He mentioned Stafford. He mentioned the balanced attack, and it is a balanced attack. Look, when the Rams made their Super Bowl run a few years ago, they weren't even as balanced a team as I think they are now. They didn't have a Kyron Williams type rushing attack. You know, Stafford, he did still score some touchdowns, but really, I think, in my opinion, the biggest difference that we've seen this team sort of transition, and boy, has this team been through it. I mean, the big storyline is always the team started 1-4. Everybody sort of lost hope with this team making it to the postseason, and now look at them. Let's start with the defense, right? Their first 13 games compared to their last 5, I want to say 25.5 points per game, points allowed per game compared to 12 in their last 5. 366 yards per game allowed compared to 300. 141 rushing yards allowed compared to 96. If you just take the stats, okay, of the last 5 games for the Rams, those numbers are top 8 in the NFL. I think the biggest question mark for all of us is how are they going to stop Saquon? And I think that will be, we won't know until game day. Will they stack the box? Taking away Saquon might be impossible, but it could be doable, and we won't know until Sunday, of course.
Right, absolutely. If I can nitpick, because you talked about the defense since December 1st on, that was a defense that they had their most success against the Saints, the 49ers, and a pathetic Jets team. So what
I knew you were going to do that.
So wait, well, then what do you say to someone like me who nitpicks?
I think you have to look at the physicality. Look, here was my biggest. I think this Eagles team, beyond the Lions, beyond anybody else, in my opinion, this Eagles team is physical. This is the most physical team, in my opinion, in all of the NFL. And here's what they have to do. The Rams are a young defense. A lot of these guys are recent picks from the last, few years, right? Jared Verse, we lost Aaron Donald. We have a new DC and Chris Shula. You've got Braden Fisk. I think this team has had to find ways to evolve and develop, get more comfortable in the pros. And I don't know what to say other than every single time there's been a team, they've come and met at the challenge. And by the way, it's been a crazy week for LA. They were supposed to have the home field advantage. I mean, look, the Vikings, Sam Darnold, I wouldn't say Jalen Hurts is not a Sam Darnold. Darnold was sacked 9 times. But if there's one argument I could say to you compared to all the other teams that you just mentioned is right now, this team, this city, they're galvanized. And I think perfect timing for the momentum for this defense to be able to try to figure things out against that Eagles offense. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying right now is the perfect time for this Rams team. And as Mike Mayock mentioned, they're balanced on offense. You've got Stafford, and I'm so sorry, but there is no coach in the NFC like a Sean McVay coach team right now.
Erin Coscarelli.
That's what I'm going to say.
All right. Well, Erin Coscarelli joining us here. Of course, she is the co-host of the Bleav in Rams podcast, part of the Bleav podcasting network. She covers the NFL for Bleav, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. So a couple things you said there. I want to back up to Jared Verse. So I got to know from you, as someone who watches the Rams so intently each and every week, what was your reaction to the Jared Verse comments saying that he hates Eagle fans, he hates even seeing Eagles green, and that it makes him sick? Like, I mean, that's some classic bulletin board material right there.
I know. You know what? Honestly, my first reaction was I kind of loved it because you can't deny Eagles fans, they show up. They're devout. They're loud. It's a hostile environment. And let's not forget, it's going to be sort of unruly weather in Philadelphia. I think it's the perfect storm, if you will, pun intended, to, create some obstacles. And I think Jared Verse has the right attitude. He's not coming in to make friends. He's here to show up and deliver and hopefully come rolling with some sacks. And we'll see. But I just think I love it. If I don't want my players to make friends with the fan base. I don't think Eagles fans would come to LA and take it easy on Matthew Stafford by any stretch of the imagination. So I loved it. I thought it was great. It didn't bother me.
Well, part of the reason why I bring it up is because, Jared Verse for part of the game is going to be going up against Lane Johnson. And
right.
Lane Johnson, I don't know if you know this story, but he is mad that he didn't get first team All-Pro to the point where he posted his stats versus Penny Sewell on his locker, and he didn't talk to the Philly media for a week and was mad at the AP voters from Philly for not giving him more votes. Like, this guy, according to Chris Long was saying on his podcast that he's never seen Lane this angry. So Jared Verse might need to be careful about, what tree he barks up here.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong about the bulletin board material. And, look, he is a rookie, potential defensive rookie of the year. I don't know how his coaches felt about that. But if you're a fan, this is what we live for. It's playoff football. We're here to watch good football. And you know what? I think Jared Verse is mad. Look, the Rams got embarrassed. It was, in my opinion, they had a 41-10 loss to the Cardinals, but the Eagles 37-20. I felt like the Rams have something to say now. They were embarrassed week 12, and they didn't have answers. So I think Jared Verse is taking the right attitude, and I have no idea what Sean McVay said to him afterwards, but look, it's playoff football. People aren't going to be all that nice right now.
You brought up Sean McVay, and that's where I want to get back to you with him, because he has struggled against Philadelphia over the years. Doug Peterson era, he's 0-2 against Nick Sirianni. Sean McVay has said in the past that the hardest person for him to game plan for is Vic Fangio. Well, he's got Vic Fangio on the other side this Sunday. So what is your perspective on McVay coming into this rematch? Not just the team, but McVay specifically.
Well, I love that you mentioned Fangio. I covered Fangio when I was with the 49ers back in 2013. I respect the heck out of what that man can do. He has one of the most brilliant defensive minds in the game. But you can't not say the same about Sean McVay. He is going to try to exact revenge. He hasn't had success against Nick Sirianni. But when you have a Sean McVay-led coach team that does very well when it comes to the offensive world, you've got Matthew Stafford, I think you can hitch your wagon to he's going to try to dial up some things that we didn't see week 12 in Los Angeles. And I think the biggest problem LA has had over the course of the season covering the team this year, the team has started slow offensively. They really struggled putting points on the board in the first quarter. We didn't obviously see that against the Vikings in the wild card. And I think that's going to be the biggest test. I think it's going to be momentum. I think it's going to be controlling the tempo, running the rock, and we'll see. Yeah, Vic Fangio, he is truly one of the most respected defensive minds in the game, but you can't not say the same thing about Sean McVay. I don't know why Sean has had trouble against the Eagles, like you mentioned, Doug Peterson, but this team's been through so much adversity this year. They've been battle-tested. Their offensive line has had 7, 8 different iterations. They've got a rookie center. So, look, I mean, I don't know what Sean McVay is going to do, but when it's Sean McVay, you got to respect him.
Speaking of the offensive line, Alaric Jackson is one of the 4 questionables for the game on Sunday. Now, McVay told the media earlier today that basically he expects all the guys who are questionable to play. But I'm looking at some of these injuries with guys, not practicing today. And, Aaron, I got to tell you, if the Eagles are the healthier team coming into this game, I think the Rams are going to have some problems because right now, Philly's biggest problem is that there was a stomach flu going around for Dallas Goedert. And A.J. Brown thinks everybody hates him because he's reading books. So, I mean, Philadelphia is kind of in that, we're almost creating problems for us to, fight against.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, the Rams had a game Monday. So, right, and we were expected to have a home game, which that didn't end up happening because it's been an absolute crazy apocalypse here in LA. My mom actually had to be was one of the evacuees. But look, this team, like I mentioned, they were snake bit early in the season with injuries. Their offensive line was a hot mess. And if there's one thing this team has had to work on is figuring out the injury problems, right? Remember, the wide receivers were not available. Puka and Cooper were both out for a large part of the beginning of the season. And then they came back right after the bye for that Week 8 matchup against the Vikings, which they ended up winning on Thursday Night Football. Depth is not really an issue. They've had to figure out rotations. Tyler Higbee is expected to play, the tight end there. He showed up and he made himself known during that Vikings game. So, yes, injuries, always a concern. I respect it immensely. But this has been the storyline for the Rams this entire season, and they've seemed to figure it out. So I'm not too worried about their offensive line right now.
All right, a couple more for Erin Coscarelli before we let her go. Of course, it's Bleav in the Rams is the podcast. When you think about this game as well, and I know sometimes these stats can be skewed, right? Sometimes people find stats to fit their arguments, right? So when you hear that Dome teams are 1-6 at Lincoln Financial Field in the postseason, what is your reaction to that stat?
Well, I mean, grit. It's not easy when you're going to inclement weather. What's the weather expected? It's expected to snow, correct?
Right,
over there?
yes. Correct.
But they've had snow games this season so far. They've managed to win them. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. There's a lot up against the Rams, right? I mean, to me, what I care more about than the weather and whether it's outside or whether it's in a dome is Saquon Barkley, is how can this team stop him? He abused the Rams, 255 yards, went crazy. I think to me, the biggest test is going to figure out. And like I said, right now I feel optimistic. I think a lot of Rams fans feel optimistic. The team's galvanized. The defense is showing up within the last 5 games, as you mentioned. Maybe they weren't the most threatening teams, but I think you want to see them put together this type of cohesion down the stretch as they are trying to make themselves known in the postseason. And I think right now is the perfect time to face the Eagles, and they will be the biggest test. I think once and if hopefully they get past the Eagles, I mean, I think it could be smooth sailing from there, but they got to get through the Eagles first, and it's not easy.
Before I let you go, you did mention about the wildfires going on in California. If you could just give our audience an update about, how things are going out there. There's obviously, with social media, there's a lot of confusing information out there. So if you could just give everyone a little information about, how things are going, if there's been any progress at all, and so on.
Yeah, and thank you for asking. I read somewhere that Eagles and some Eagles fans were donating, and we really appreciate that. I think one of the best things I've read and seen so far is, the division rivals and the Cardinals offering up their stadium. Michael Bidwill, the owner, sending 2 of his Boeing jets to help out. It really means a lot, and I think at the end of the day, that's why I love the NFL, because we're all football fans, but we're also all humans here. The wildfires have been crazy. It's felt quite apocalyptic. I remember Tuesday when it first broke out, and then that next day, Wednesday, the sky was orange, smoke was everywhere, animals and the elderly just impacted. We're doing okay, though. We really appreciate the support, especially because it's just been really, really hard here. But we're getting through it. We're on the other end. We're optimistic, and hopefully measures will be put in place to make sure this doesn't happen again. But it was pretty tough. But what I will say is it's amazing to have football and playoffs right now to kind of get your mind off of these things. And we're so grateful for all the support that we've been getting these last couple of weeks.
And for more coverage of the Rams, check out the Bleav in Rams podcast. Erin Coscarelli is the co-host, and she joined us here for the Outside View on 97.3 ESPN. Erin, maybe some other time we could talk about Joker and Sabalenka and, if Coco Gauff's going to win the Australian Open and all that stuff.
I love it. Yes, it's such a great time right now. I love January because we've got postseason football. We've got the Australian Open. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Yes, check out our podcast, Bleav in Rams. Subscribe, comment, rate, all of those things. We love it. We love football. We're so excited to take on the Eagles, and we know it's going to be a great game.
Absolutely. Erin, take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check out the text board one more time. Coming up on the other side, 609-403-0973.
This is the home of Philadelphia Eagles playoff football. It's the NFC Divisional round of the playoffs as the Eagles host the LA Rams this Sunday at the Link.
Nice catch by Goddard, who breaks the tackle across the 5. Touchdown!
Goddard, beast, pushes him in the face twice and into the end zone.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 2 p.m. Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action starting at 3 p.m. This is South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN.
Go get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery, go to Fanatic Sportsbook, and go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
88 unread emails? Okay. New credit card? Delete. Congratulations, you've just won. Goodbye. COVID-19 news and delete. Wait, learn about treatment options for COVID-19. No and go. Okay, kind of catchy. Know that oral prescription treatment options are available for COVID-19 if you're at high risk. And go see your doctor if you experience symptoms or test positive. And forwarding that to mom.
Talk to your pharmacist or doctor if you or a loved one gets COVID-19. Know and go. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is an ad by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Every January brings you 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. What do you want your 2025 story to be? Maybe there are characters you need to let go of, or narratives that no longer serve your growth. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. Therapy can be your editorial partner, helping you craft the next chapters with intention and purpose. That way, you can shape your own story and make it one you love. BetterHelp offers a diverse network of over 30,000 therapists worldwide with expertise in a wide range of issues, from depression and anxiety to work and relationships. It's 100% online, and sign up only takes a few minutes. Write your next chapter with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABC Radio.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIO-DYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $25,000 per bet. Prop boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Wrapping up the Friday edition of The Sports Bash, Josh Hennig's been filling in for Mike Gill this afternoon on 97.3 ESPN. Man, it has been a busy show. And I kind of gave you guys a hint onto who I am going to pick to win the game on Sunday. I gave you a hint earlier in the day, what my final score is going to be and my picks for Sunday's game. We'll get you the official rundown in just a moment here. Just to give you guys a programming update. So, the locker room with Billy Schweim tomorrow and Sunday here on 97.3 ESPN at 10 a.m. I'll be with Billy on Sunday at the Chicken or the Egg in Marlton for Billy Schweim's Eagles pregame show. It will be myself and Nick Earnshaw along with Billy Schweim. Our special guest on Sunday will be Sheldon Brown. So, should be a fun show on Sunday. Also, we are your home for all the playoff games this weekend and next weekend on 97.3 ESPN. So whether you're in your car or whether you are listening on the app, you can listen to both games tomorrow, starting coverage at 4 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. And then on the radio, we'll have both the Eagles game, followed by the Ravens and Bills game in progress tomorrow on Sunday on 97.3 ESPN FM. If you are looking for the Sixers games on the radio, check out our sister station, Rock 104.1, to check out the Sixers if you want to catch them on the radio this weekend. Sixers play at 7 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday. Monday, I will be back in the regular game night slot. On Monday, you have Ryan Rothstein and Pete G live from Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. So, that's a little bit of an update on everything you need to know about the programming this weekend here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, before we get out of here, a couple things here. First of all, I got to say, I appreciate everybody who texted in throughout the show. It was a lot of fun having Eagles dialogue with you guys today and all week. I did laugh when Paul from Rehoboth basically agreed with me about the Flyers Sixers stuff. That was pretty funny earlier. So, but not a lot of happy hour Friday recommendations. A little disappointed in you guys for that. So, but we did get that recommendation of Jason Kelsey's Garage Beer. So, I do have to try that at some point. All right. So, my official pick for the Eagles game, because I know I've mentioned throughout the week that I think they're going to win the game. To me, the keys to the Eagles on Sunday is basically, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Evan Cohen, earlier today on 97.3 ESPN Radio on the national radio side, said this.
Until the Eagles have to throw the ball more than they have to run the ball, with arguably the best running back along with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley in the entire league, and the best offensive line arguably in the league, and dominating the way they're dominating, no, A.J. Brown does not need a bigger role in this offense. As long as they're dunking every single time, they don't need to shoot threes. It drives me crazy that we continue to do this.
I think that's why Philadelphia wins on Sunday. I think Philadelphia is going to win the game. My score, because I do have to be consistent, because I said earlier on the show that I do think the under is hit in this game, okay? I definitely believe that I don't think that we appreciate the fact that the weather is going to impact this game, the fact that the Rams are not as good outdoors or on the road as they are at home. So for me, because I said earlier in the show, I do believe this game is going to hit the under, right? And the over-under right now at the Caesars Sportsbook is 43.5. By the way, if you don't have the Caesars Sportsbook, you can sign up with my promo code RADIODYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. That's the Caesars Sportsbook app. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 43.5 is the number. So that's why for me, I'm going to go Eagles 27, Rams 17. Actually, no, I'm going 27-14. I'm sorry. It's a bad job of math. I just went over on my own total. See, this is what happens. You don't write something down. You try to remember it. It's in my phone. My phone's all the way over there somewhere. It's like texting and driving. They tell you not to text and drive. You're not supposed to radio and text either. Yeah, 27-14 is the score, I think. I think it'll be a close game early on, and the Eagles will eventually pull away. And as I said earlier on 97.3 ESPN, I like the under in the Texans-Chiefs game. I like the Commanders and the Texans both to cover the spreads on their games. And I think Buffalo wins on Sunday night. Thanks to Aaron Coscarelli, Adam Caplan, Nick Earnshaw, JohnMcMullen, Dave Weinberg for all joining me today. And thanks all of you for tuning in to 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. I've been filling in for Mike Gill here on Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Birds. Be safe out there. And I'll catch you on Sunday with Billy Schwein.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hot tomorrow afternoon on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedor bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
They score! Connecting on the one-timer, and TK makes no mistake, the power play goal.
It's Flyers Devils tomorrow afternoon. Coverage begins at 12:30. It's Flyers hockey all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey, 97.3 ESPN.